Homegrown stars like slugger Andrew Jones and emerging stars such as Jeff Francoeur. As for the Cubs, well, even with Sweet Lou at the helm, their legacy of letdowns didn't look to be over in the early going. A team high on expectations, but low on results. They have battled inconsistency and sometimes even themselves. Can they build on Alfonso Soriano's hot bat and turn it around to become a contender? We'll look into that question tonight. Plus, Peter Gammons on the future plans of both teams. Can the Braves keep Andrew Jones? And will Carlos Zambrano sign the contract that keeps him a Cub? All of that and the Cubs and Braves in Atlanta on the National Game of the Week. On a beautiful, warm night in Georgia, ESPN Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell. And from Turner Field, while everybody else is playing interleague play, two National League teams going head-to-head. The Cubs from the Central, the Braves from the East. Game 4 of their series. And right now in the National League East, the Mets, who lost today, 3 games up on the Braves. And in the Central, the Brewers, who are playing tonight in Texas, 5 up on both the Cubs and the Cardinals. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Peter Gammons. Welcome to Sunday Night Baseball. Alfonso Soriano has had a hot hand this week, including 3 home runs here on Friday. For the Braves, though, Chipper Jones, their great slugger, still out with an injury. And Andrew Jones, who hit a few home runs of his own over the years, is in a lengthy slump. He's hitting only .225. But, Joe, Andrew hit a home run here last night, had 3 RBIs, and he is hoping, and they're hoping, that he is ready to go.
Well, John, a lot of people have speculated that because this is his free agency year, he was over-swinging at the beginning of the season. Well, when I talked to Andrew, he said that's not bothering him, and that wasn't the case. He said the thing that is bothering him is his balance at the plate. He started with this wide stance a couple of years ago. Now he has narrowed his stance down, and he feels like he's getting on balance. And we saw an indication of that last night, a home run to center field, an RBI single, and a great catch. That was an Andrew Jones type of game. And make no mistake about it, even when Chipper Jones comes back, they're going to need Andrew Jones if they're going to stay in this race. And when you talk to Bobby Cox, the other guy that he talks about the most is Edgar Renteria. He said he is Mr. Consistent. He's been the most consistent Brave all year.
Edgar always seems to be on a good team.
On a good team.
Yeah, maybe not such a coincidence. All right, now the Cubs, they have struggled mightily this year. They had a fight in the dugout last week. Manager Lou Piniella was suspended for 4 games after a run-in with an umpire. Peter Gammons is here with us. And Peter, Lou Piniella has had a tumultuous start, to say the least, as the manager of the Cubs.
Tumultuous start, John. But you know what? I've seen those fights for 35 years. Lou Piniella's tirade was, in some ways, I think, a little bit staged, just to sort of bring a team's attention back onto baseball. But during the week, he went to Derek Lee, his best player and certainly the leader of the team, and said, look, have a players-only meeting. Come back to me and tell me, am I losing the players? Lee came back to him and said, no. There are some players that are upset about not getting enough at-bats, but we need to focus our attention on playing. And frankly, I felt the last couple of days that Lou is far more relaxed than he was 3 or 4 weeks ago. That I think he has a pretty good understanding now of what he needs to do with his team, who he needs to play, get the bullpen straightened out, has been good in June, and then move on.
Lou Piniella and the Cubs, one way or the other, it seems to be a good story. We'll be watching it. One thing is for sure, they're a lot better when Alfonso Soriano was hitting, and he hit 3 big flies in the same game here on Friday. Then last night, Tim Hudson hit him with the first pitch of the game. A little bit later, passing the mound, Soriano had a few words for Hudson. He'll be coming up here momentarily against Buddy Carlisle. First pitch of the game was Soriano up there when we come back.
Now, give that man the money you owe him.
But Mom, it really was only $1.29.
For a quesadilla with 3 cheeses and seasoned beef? I think I was born yesterday.
No, ma'am. It is only $1.29.
Thank you.
For a quesadilla with 3 cheeses.
Ow!
Where's the manager?
Taco Bell's new extreme cheese and beef quesadilla. Seasoned beef, nacho cheese sauce, and 3 melted cheeses for only $1.29. To get unbelievable taste and price, think outside the bun.
Let nothing stop you in the pursuit of your passion, not even body aches. Excedrin introduces a new choice for targeting tough pain. New Excedrin Back and Body. Fast, Powerful relief. Its dual-ingredient formula works two ways, as a pain reliever and a pain blocker, right where it hurts, so the pain stops. You don't. Excedrin. Go.
His face was a skull, and it was on fire.
On fire?
Like...
Tonight, you'll...
I believe soon.
On high-def Blu-ray and DVD, June 12th.
Employee disability can bring even the healthiest business to its knees. At Unum, our benefits not only help your people stay on their feet, they keep your entire company at the top of its game. Unum, better benefits at work.
Hey, we're late.
With the Conair 13-piece professional multi-use trimmer, everybody looks good. 3 totally different blades, turbo power, and exclusive taper control adapt to today's favorite faces. Have fun. Look good with Conair.
All-new Mini with 40 miles per gallon and endless customizable.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is presented by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And in part by Excedrin Back and Body. Its dual-ingredient formula turns a double play on pain. Stay tuned for this week's Excedrin Back and Body Double Play Getaway Trivia Challenge.
We're in Atlanta, and it's hot, as you might expect. The Cubs and the Braves ready to play the 4th game of their series. Cubs have won 2 out of 3 so far, but it is hot. Everybody's trying to stay cool. There's Lou Piniella, the manager of the Cubs, whose forte is, you really don't associate him that much with staying cool. His first season as the Cubs manager. I think you always think of Lou as being an excitable type personality. Let's take a look at the batting order that he's putting out there. With Soriano coming up here first. The Cubs batting order presented by Taco Bell. Alfonso Soriano, he's hot lately hitting the long ball. Felix Pie, the exciting rookie in center field. Derek Lee, one of the top hitters in the game, first base. Michael Barrett is the catcher hitting cleanup with Aramis Ramirez out. Jock Jones in right field, former Twin. Mark DeRosa, third base. He's had a hot month of June. Mike Fontenot just up from the minor leagues at second base. Cesar Izturis, former Gold Glove winner at shortstop, hitting 8th, and Ted Lilly batting 9th, all up against 29-year-old right-hander Buddy Carlisle. Carlisle, who is filling in for John Smoltz. Smoltz missing the start tonight with a stiff shoulder. And Joe, Carlisle's been around a long time.
Well, he uses a sinking fastball and a riding fastball, and he's really been trying to work on his curveball. But those 2 pitches, the fastball, the sinker, and the riding fastball, are what we're going to see the most of tonight.
90 degrees in Atlanta as Alfonso Soriano leads off, and a fastball is too high from Carlisle.
Interesting, last night you mentioned that he was hit by Tim Hudson on the first pitch of the ball game. Another high fastball, but it was away. Now they're going away again.
Back to the screen. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That often happens after a guy gets hit. They think he becomes self-conscious on the pitch inside, and they just stay away.
Soriano, who hit more than 40 home runs and stole more than 40 bases for Washington last year, and that's a ball too high.
Johnny had also hit 3 home runs in a game against Atlanta last year when he played for Washington. So that was the second time he had hit 3 home runs in 1 game.
Yeah, he just always seems to hit well against the Braves with whatever team he happens to be with at the time. Just got a piece of that one. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Soriano.
I was laughing with him before the game, John. I said, you'll take, 3 home runs for 1 hit batsman, won't you? He said, yeah, that works.
But he was steamed here yesterday. And he did have a few words as he passed them out after grounding out against Hudson in in his second at bat. And the high hard one fouled back to the screen. So Carlisle's coming after him here. Buddy Carlisle, he's been around. He knows how to pitch after all these years. Carlisle in his 7th organization, and he just pitched the best game of his rather limited major league career. He gave up just 1 hit in 7 innings last Tuesday, also filling in for Smoltz. It was his first win in the big leagues in 8 years. Coming in left field is Matt Diaz, and Soriano is out number 1.
And let's take a look at the Braves defense. And as always in center field, Andrew Jones, 9 Gold Gloves, and he made a fabulous play here last night in the ball game, a diving catch in the right center field. A lot of people speculate he's lost a step. It didn't look like it last night watching the game.
As always, when we see Atlanta, we'll be hoping that Andrew gets tested out there, and we'll get to see one of those ourselves. Here is Felix Piet, the young sensation of the Cubs. He's had an excellent series, hitting .288 in his rookie season, and the ball runs off the outside for ball 1.
Well, Peter Gammons was saying they were trying to decide who was going to play, and now they think they have it. Well, Piet is supposed to be the center fielder. They're going to put him in there and just let him play.
Big swing and a miss on that fastball. He's got some running action, running away from the left-handed hitter from Buddy Carlisle. Piet came up earlier this year, hit a home run in his very first major league game, and later went back to the minors. Fouled back to the screen. This Buddy Carlisle. There's John Smoltz. Carlisle filling in for Smoltz, who's got a stiff shoulder. He says if it was the postseason, there's no question he'd be out there right now. But in fact, he was sort of lobbying to be out there tonight. But he said also he knew it was the right decision when Bobby Cox told him, they said, no, we don't want you to press it. There's a lot of games left to go, and we want you at age 40 to get a little extra rest and get fully healthy again before we send you out there. And they're looking at starting Smoltz on Friday. There's Bobby Cox.
Well, they're off tomorrow, so that gives them that extra day that they think about it. When I talked to him after Chipper Jones today, he said to me that today was the first day he took batting practice, and he said tomorrow's an off day, and we'll go out there Tuesday and reevaluate things. There's Bobby Cox's numbers. There's Chipper. But he said it felt better today, you know, taking batting practice.
That ball is hit well. There's Andrew Jones just sort of gliding across the green, and that is out number 2. Last night he couldn't glide so much. He had to hurry for this ball hit by Michael Barrett.
And he does that as well as anyone. He comes in and he's always able to seem like just get the middle of the glove under the ball. And then he rolls over his hand a little bit, and he was able to keep it in because it went into the middle of the glove.
Now Derek Lee, and he takes a called strike on the inside from Buddy Carlisle. Derek Lee hitting .338, but not so much for power yet. 6 home runs is all. 35 batted in. Right to third and booted by Escobar. The rookie gets it there too late.
Well, Escobar is a shortstop by trade, and they got him playing third base because of Chipper's injury, but he is normally a shortstop. And he made an error last night on a ground ball throwing to second base, trying to start a double play. Well, he tries to stay down on it, and the ball comes up a little bit, hits him on the heel. He bounces on it, and he makes it a close play at first. But he was, again, he was a shortstop by trade, and they brought him up to have him play third base.
Yunel Escobar from Havana, Cuba. A Cuban emigre who fled Cuba. This is his 3rd year in professional baseball here. The batter, Michael Barrett, and a big swing and a miss. And a Buddy Carlisle fastball. Buddy Carlisle, you see Barrett's numbers. He's got some pop. Got to be careful with him. Buddy Carlisle, in his 12th year of professional baseball, he's been just about everywhere, all over the minor leagues. He's been in the big leagues. He got his first big league win 8 years ago when he was 21 years old for the San Diego Padres, and then didn't get another one here until last Tuesday And Joe, I enjoyed his comment about that. He says, you know, when you're young and stupid, you don't realize how fortunate you are to be up here. This win means 10,000 times more than the other one. I know what a privilege it is to play at this level now. 0-2 the count to Barrett. And he blew him away with a fastball. So one error, one left. Now the Braves are coming up against Ted Lilly, who will take the hill. Nice hitting there for Buddy Carlisle.
I was hanging out with some people. Now I realize I shouldn't have. The work was so hard. It was just going fast, fast, fast.
I got kicked out of school, and nobody cared about me, so I don't care.
I sort of got messed up into gangs and other stuff. School was very difficult.
I was expelled from school.
I mean, the one person who really got me to go back into school was my friend Kevin.
At my friend's graduation, I'm going to be the loudest one there.
Because if you don't have anybody while you're in school, then there's not really a way to get through it.
Smooth Jazz 105.9. The right songs at the right time can make all the difference. Discover Portland's unique radio station. Set the mood at work with Smooth Jazz 105.9. The fresh new sound for Portland's workday. Try Smooth Jazz 105.9.
MVP of today's Donahue Baxter wedding. Mike, quite a performance. Yeah, well, it was a team effort. Without that block from Sully, I would have never been able to watch a Chicago-St. Louis game cast.
We saw there was a lot of talk between you and Sully. Care to comment?
Oh, yeah, he just told me to hang in there and do what I got to do, you know?
Thank you.
All right.
Live from the Donahue Baxter wedding. Back to you in studio.
Be an ESPN MVP, only with VCast, fantasy management, baseball tonight clips, live game casts, and more. With ESPN MVP, exclusively from Verizon Wireless.
Turner Field, Atlanta, Sunday Night Baseball. The Cubs going down to the first as the Braves get ready to bat now. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Peter Gammons, and we're very pleased to have you with us on a hot night in Atlanta. There's Bobby Cox, the longtime Atlanta manager, and here's the batting order presented by Taco Bell. Kelly Johnson, we're anxious to see him. He's been outstanding. Second base. Yunel Escobar, the Cuban emigre, at third base. Edgar Renteria, the old pro, who always seems to win, shortstop. Andrew Jones in center field, a low batting average. They're hoping he's about to get going, though. Jeff Francoeur is still very young and still an excellent run producer. Matt Diaz in left field hitting .331. Jared Saltalamacchia is the catcher hitting seventh. A rookie, Scott Thorman at first base, and Buddy Carlisle, the pitcher, batting ninth, all up against the veteran left-hander, 31-year-old Ted Lilly, formerly of the Toronto Blue Jays, signed as a free agent in the offseason. And Lilly trying to get it going again. He got a very fine start this year. He's 4-4. And Joe, Ted Lilly, he's not an overpowering guy.
Well, but he throws a lot of fastballs, and especially to right-handed hitters. He'll throw the fastball in, but he hasn't been as sharp with his curveball the last couple of times out. But he is 4-1 after a Cub loss so far this season. So, I mean, they've got the right guy out there. Although they were playing well, they've only working on a one-game losing streak.
Kelly Johnson, the hitter. And he fouls it off to the left. Kelly Johnson is the second baseman for Atlanta. And Peter Gammons, we were talking about him earlier, because this guy had always been either a third baseman or a shortstop or even a left fielder. And they moved him over to second base, and he has done a great job at it. And there is strike three with the slider from Ted Lilly. Peter, this guy has been I think not maybe a surprise to a lot of us, but maybe not to the Braves.
Well, even some of the people in the organization wondered about moving him from the outfield to second base because he had never played on the left side. I mean, coming off Tommy John surgery. And Joe, what I found interesting is he told me from the beginning in spring training, turning the double play was not the problem. But what still is the problem is starting the double play and learning the angles.
Here is Yunel Escobar. And a first ball foul back to the screen.
Well, that's unusual. Usually the toughest thing is for you to turn your back at second base making a double play, knowing the runner's on you when you haven't been accustomed to doing that. But it is, you have to develop your own technique of how to start the double play. A lot of guys will flip it. A lot of guys will sidearm it. But you have to find the right slot for you because it's very difficult to cramp yourself on a short throw and throw overhand or even three-quarters. I believe the best way to feed the shortstop is to backhand the ball to him, and you just have to practice it over and over till you get to the point where you just have ultimate confidence in doing it that way.
2 strikes to Escobar. That curveball, strike 3 call. The big hook from Ted Lilly. 2 down.
Well, we've seen him blow a fastball by Johnson. Now he comes with the overhand curveball to Escobar. And let's take a look. K-zone set it the top of the strike zone. You can see 74-mile great rotation and drops right in there.
Now Edgar Renteria having another excellent year with the bat. And that's up and away.
John, the thing that still amazes me is he did not, only place he hasn't had success was when he went to Boston. It still amazes me because he is such a good player. He's such a smart player, and he knows how to make all the adjustments, and he just never was able to adjust, you know, to playing for the Red Sox.
I know our longtime Major League manager, now an ESPN colleague, Dusty Baker, there were certain guys that he talked about that he thought were National League players. Other guys that he thought were actually American League players. There's still, I guess, a little bit of a difference in the style of ball. And Renteria's hit. And where's he going? The plate umpire, Jim Wolf, gets in his way, but he started out after Ted Lilly, and here come players out of each dugout. Renteria felt there was intent on that pitch, apparently. Oh, wait a minute. Has somebody just been thrown out? Did Ted Lilly just get thrown out of this game?
He didn't give that signal. He came out and he was warning the benches. So I don't think he was thrown out.
All the players are still out there now. Here they come from the bullpens. But the plate umpire, Jim Wolf, is now engaged in discussion with Lou Piniella.
And John, we talked about this at the meeting today, whether they would, you know, come up and in because they hit Soriano to start the game yesterday.
That's Tim Cheetah in the middle. He is the crew chief. Well, it looked to me like Jim Wolf was off from the pack there, still trying to keep Renteria away from Lilly. And then he gave a gesture as if to say somebody is out of here. Tim Hudson, who hit Alfonso Soriano yesterday. Bobby Cox also out in the middle of it. Here's the pitch.
Well, it gets him, looks like it gets him on his left hand. That's like a warning.
Yeah.
He's getting ready to warn both benches.
And there was a little bit later the gesture I saw. It looked like he was pointing right at Ted Lilly.
Yeah, I did do that.
And there goes Ted Lilly off the field.
That's unbelievable to me. That is unbelievable to me.
Last night, the first pitch of the game was to Alfonso Soriano. This was a day after he hit 3 home runs. First pitch he saw last night from Tim Hudson. He also felt.
And Hudson didn't get thrown out of the ball game.
Later, in his second at bat, after he grounded out, he passed Tim Hudson and had a word for him that Hudson called something out to Soriano afterward.
Yeah, John, the only thing I can think of is they did warn both teams yesterday. And if they warned them before the game today, but I still don't understand that. And we are seeing a new, kinder, gentler Lou Piniella.
Well, Ted Lilly is coming back out onto the field. Ted Lilly is walking back out toward the pitcher's mound with a bottle of water. And he's walking right over to Jim Wolf. He wants a little more of a discussion, apparently. Lou Piniella pushes him away. The Cubs had to bring in a new pitcher with 2 outs in the first inning. And it is Marmol.
I would like to find out if they warned the teams before the game started. You know, that would be the only way that I would figure they would throw him out. If they warned them before the game and make sure you
I don't know. Why didn't he throw him out immediately?
Yeah, I don't.
Peter Gammons is down by the dugout. Peter?
They did not warn them before the game. And I asked Larry Rothschild, well, why was he ejected? He said, I don't know. I mean, why wasn't Tim Hudson ejected last night?
Exactly.
But there was no warning before the game.
Well, there's got to be more to it here because he did not eject him. He issued a warning. We saw it clearly. He pointed at Lilly and he pointed to both dugouts, and then as he escorted Renteria up the first baseline, then he came back and then he ejected him after the fact. And I don't understand that. Here's the pitch again. And Renteria took it personally. And there's the warning given, and there's the warning to the Cubs dugout. And then Wolf tried to stay between the two of them, and then he came back later and then ejected him. So Piniella finally heading back to the Chicago dugout. Lilly still lingering as Carlos Marmol comes in to pitch.
But there's always been, we talk about unwritten rules the last couple of weeks, an unwritten rule that let the players handle, you know, some of these situations. I mean, they did not step in last night when Hudson hit Soriano after he hit 3 home runs the night before. So I don't see how you could eject Lilly for doing that unless, like I said, they warned him before the game, and Peter Gammons said they did not.
Well, Jim Wolf, the plate umpire, is wearing a microphone, and maybe we can revisit those moments around the ejection and see if we can learn something.
That's it. Eddie, you want to do that shit, right? You want to do that shit, right? Back on now. Back on now. You're done. You're done. Yeah.
So, although he gave the signal later, Joe, that was not a warning. Verbally, you could hear him saying, "That's it, that's it," and he was involved in trying to keep order there. He ordered Lilly back to the mound at one point, and then moments later, ordered him out of the game. Carlos Marmol, the young right-hander, and he has been very strong. He's only allowed 2 hits in 9 2/3 innings in 10 appearances with 11 strikeouts. And he's done a much better job coming out of the bullpen. There goes Renteria. Barrett's throw, the tag, and he slams into DeRosa. He took his own revenge right there. I said DeRosa, that is the rookie Fontenot. I beg your pardon. DeRosa's at third base tonight in the absence of Aramis Ramirez. But he went in with a forearm and a shoulder, and he took a pound of flesh there from the rookie Fontenot at second base.
Well, there were a lot of ways that players used to try to, as you say, exact some revenge for getting hit. And it's usually against someone who didn't hit you. And Fontenot had nothing to do with Renteria being hit, but he did go in hard.
Andrew Jones, and that is a slider for a strike.
Well, there was no doubt he went in to make contact.
He went in late with a pop-up slide and got him right in the nose. Andrew Jones hit a home run here last night and had 3 runs batted in, but hitting only .225 for the year. That home run last night was his second of this series. Oh, look at that slider. That was nasty. 2-2. In a way, Joe, Renteria has a free shot there. Because the Cubs, if they retaliate now with a pitch to him, another guy's going to get thrown out, right?
Well, but he plays shortstop, so he's going to be in the middle of some plays as well.
And Andrew Jones is thrown out by Mark DeRosa. Bad blood, fear and loathing at Turner Field. No score after 1.
GM OnStar, how can I help you?
Can you run a quick diagnostic check for me?
No problem, Mr. Gordon.
Transmission?
Check.
Emissions?
Check.
Airbag system?
Check.
Car wash?
2 blocks up on your left-hand side.
Nice.
OnStar, active.
You ever been on a pit crew?
Have you enjoyed a Budweiser lately? Because I can only describe the smoothness you'll get from Beechwood aging. I can only tell you about the choicest hops. But if you really want to understand what makes Budweiser the king of beers, you have to taste it. Just taste it. The perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser. Open up a world of taste.
Well, gold is more than just a color for Century 21. It's a standard. So much of my job is about things you don't see, so that when that sold sign goes up, you struck gold.
Century 21. The gold standard.
Hey, what's wrong? Joe's athlete's foot. It's brutal.
Show him the new stuff. It's new Lamisil Gel Advanced. Cures athlete's foot with half the treatments.
Half the treatments?
Half the treatments, all the cure.
What do you want in a home? Everybody has a different idea. Yet everybody should expect the same things in a mortgage. One without application or closing fees. Without private mortgage insurance. And guarantees that you'll close on time and get the best deal. Introducing the opportunity to get the mortgage you always wanted for the home you've always wanted. No Fee Mortgage Plus, only from Bank of America. Bank of Opportunity.
Something wrong?
My Silverado. It's gone.
That's a shame, man.
Yeah.
You got OnStar?
Yeah.
Call them up. They can help you find it.
Really?
Yeah.
OnStar, active.
Can I get your autograph, Mr. Gordon?
The Subway Series rolls into the Bronx. Once again, the Mets are in NL power while the Yankees are fighting to get back in the AL East race.
Can they let him take his pound of flesh after these runs? Inning number 2. And Jock Jones leads off for the Chicago Cubs. No score in the game, although one team still has its starting pitcher in there and one does not.
But I would still like if Peter could get an explanation on why he was thrown out of the game if there was no warnings issued before the game.
1-2 the count. And we just talked to Peter between innings, who talked to Lou Piniella right after all of the
But I'm sure Lou had to get some explanation.
Well, what Jim Wolf told him was that he thought the pitch was intentional. I asked the question, well, it didn't look like it as if he was thrown out immediately, and Lou said, I don't know.
This is Renteria throwing out Jock Jones.
So the ball last night wasn't intentional that hit Soriano, the first pitch then. That's what they're saying, I guess.
I would agree with you, Joe.
Yeah.
So one down. Here is Mark DeRosa. Well, I mean, when you think about what just happened, Renteria got hit by the pitch. He was angry about it. He felt it was intentional himself. Started to go out to the mound even. Then after the Cubs pitcher gets thrown out of the game, Renteria still exacts his pound of flesh from a man who's sort of an innocent bystander, Mike Fontenot, the rookie second baseman for the Cubs. And I don't understand exactly how you can let all of that fly. You eject their pitcher, which is supposed to be the end of it, and he socks Fontenot right in the nose.
Well, it's usually the middle infielders that get the brunt of those types of situations, John. The middle infielders on a double play or a force out or a stolen base like that, they're the ones that usually pay the price when you have an angry base runner.
To the count to Mark DeRosa, who is having a very nice year for the Cubs. .263 average, 6 homers, 31 batted in. DeRosa, who can play all over the field, second base. Tonight he's at third base in the absence of Aramis Ramirez. He also can play the outfield. Backhanded by Thorman. Carlisle covers, and that's a good idea there by Carlisle. Just get out of the way as quickly as possible. 2 down. Let's go to the studio now for a SportsCenter 30 and 30 update with Matt Weiner.
All right, John. Rafael Nadal beat Roger Federer in a heavyweight French Open final. It took the Spaniard 4 sets to become the second man since 1914 to win 3 straight French Open titles. On the subject of slams, Alex Rodriguez went off twice. Homers number 23 and 24 to account for 5 RBIs as the Yankees won their 6th straight. SportsCenter after the game, ESPN News, always happening.
Here's that second home run by A-Rod to right field. The first one, the Yankees were trailing 6-5 with 2 men on, and that put them ahead for good. He now has 63 RBIs this year in 61 games. And the Yankees have won 9 of their last 11. The Red Sox were beaten in Arizona. The Yankees, who 11 days ago were 14.5 out, now 9.5 out. That looks a little different.
Well, it's a long way to go, and all they wanted to do is get it under 10, I thought, before the All-Star break, but they're going to be in better shape than that if they continue to play well.
Strike 3 called to Fontenot, the rookie. Buddy Carlisle looking strong early again tonight. Jeff Francoeur coming up. No score.
GM OnStar, how can I help you?
Can you run a quick diagnostic check for me?
No problem, Mr. Gordon.
Transmission?
Check.
Emissions?
Check.
Airbag system?
Check.
Car wash?
2 blocks up on your left-hand side.
Nice.
OnStar active.
You ever been on a pit crew?
Hey, we're late. With the Conair 13-piece professional multi-use trimmer, everybody looks good. 3 totally different blades, turbo power.
Second against Carlos Marmol. If you just joined us, Ted Lilly was supposed to have started tonight, and in fact he did start. Struck out the first 2 hitters of the game too, and then he hit Edgar Renteria with a pitch that was high and tight, and both benches empty, the bullpen's empty. That slider from Marmol is fouled, and it's a ball and a strike to the powerful young slugger Jeff Francoeur. And then he was ejected from the game by plate umpire Jim Wolf. 1 ball and 1 strike to count to Francoeur. And that slider, that didn't miss by much, I don't think, although K-Zone may have a different idea. 2-1 the count. Matt Diaz on deck. Jared Santalamacchia due up 3rd in the inning. No score. And he struck him out with a good low fastball at 94 miles an hour. And they're... Oh, I beg your pardon. That's strike 2. Where am I, John? I'm not even in this anymore.
Well,
you're still back in the first inning.
John, I hate to say it, but you're probably the same place as the plate umpire is.
So how many strikes is that?
Yeah, you're the same place as Wolf.
Strike 3. He got him. There we go. Well, let's go back to the first inning. 2 down, nobody on. Yesterday, Soriano got hit with the first pitch of the game by Tim Hudson, and warnings were issued. Tonight, with 2 down, Ted Lilly hit Edgar Renteria with that pitch, and Edgar felt it was intentional, and so did Jim Wolf, and he threw Ted Lilly out of the game. Here is Matt Diaz. Now that is a wicked looking slider, and Diaz chased it. It is 0-1. Diaz, the name would more correctly be said Diaz, but in his family they pronounce it Diaz.
Well, he said his great-grandfather did it, John. He said, I know that's not the way that most people here would pronounce it. He says, but his great-grandfather decided that's the way they were going to pronounce it.
And Matt told me the story last year. It was something that I think his great-grandfather worked in a mine, and payday came, and they called his name, and it was Diaz. And he decided, well, our American name
for that?
is, yeah. if I answer to Diaz, I get paid. So our American name is now Diaz. 0-2 the count to Matt Diaz. Born in Portland, Oregon. He had been with the Kansas City Royals previously. And he's one of those guys, been around a while. And he learned a few things over those years, Joe. A guy who never gave up the dream. And he can hit. Did he swing? Yes. Now he'll have to be thrown out, and Barrett does so. Another strikeout there for Marmol. Well, the umpire wearing a microphone, and when all of the arguing was going on after he had ejected Ted Lilly, there were some exchanges, and we can go back and listen in.
Yeah, no way. Yes, I am. He threw at him. He threw at him. He threw at his head. No, I didn't. Yeah. What is it? He's done. Why? Because he threw at him. Well, how do you know he threw at him? I know he did. How do you know he threw at him? Because I was waiting for it. I knew it was going to happen. Oh, come on. For God's sake. I'm trying to...
Well, you know, I think the umpire overstepped his authority right there. He knows that he threw at him, and he was waiting for him. That's unbelievable to me, especially after Tim Hudson hit Soriano after hitting 3 home runs the day before, and that wasn't intentional, but this was. That's not the way the game is supposed to be played. And again, as I said earlier, the players handle things if you let them. And they were not given the chance to handle that situation.
Jared Saltalamacchia, the 22-year-old catcher, with a solid base hit to right field, the first hit for Atlanta. First time they've had solid contact against Carlos Marmol. Well, I mean, the thing could be over already because Edgar Renteria exacted his revenge on the Cubs second baseman after he got the first, and order was restored, and Marmol came in relief with the ejected Lilly. He stole second base and came in with a hard forearm or back of the hand, whatever it was, to the nose of Mike Fontenot with a late pop-up slide. So they hit him. He took it personally. He exacted a pound of flesh from Fontenot.
Well,
and it's handled, maybe.
What did Soriano get? How did he get his revenge? He didn't. No one was tossed.
Well, stay tuned then. PA and Scott Thorman is retired. 1 hit, 1 left to the 3rd inning. Cesar Izturis coming up, no score.
Does anyone know of anything that's guaranteed for a full 10 years? Let's go. Did you?
Nationwide is on your side.
Sunday Night Baseball from Atlanta. The Braves and the Cubs, who actually are playing each other for the final time this year, unless they should meet in October. So if you're the Cubs, I would imagine, Joe, you feel like this score has not been settled yet. Here's Cesar Izturis and a foul. I mean, it's difficult to speak on behalf of the Cubs.
Well, there's no doubt they've got the worst of the decisions in this situation, because last night, you know, Soriano was hot, and then he gets hit by Tim Hudson, and nothing happens. And now today, Lilly hits Renteria, and he's tossed out of the game. So there's no doubt they got the short end of the decisions that were made here.
Now, Frank, Soriano hit the 3 home runs in the game on Friday. He hit the first pitch for a home run on Friday, and the second pitch, and the 5th pitch of the night that was thrown to him. And then Tim Hudson's explanation yesterday was, oh, I wasn't trying to hit him. I needed to kind of move him off the plate a little bit and pitch him inside. And that was his explanation for it, which Soriano was not buying. That fastball from Buddy Carlisle just misses.
Well, I guess if you're looking at it from Tim Hudson's side, that was a reasonable explanation. I guess it was reasonable. I was just trying to move him off the plate. But the umpire obviously didn't buy the fact that Ted Lilly had 2 strikes on the hitter, on Renteria, and was trying to strike him out up and in. So he didn't buy that.
Well, in both cases, it wasn't exactly like a guy just got drilled in the rib cage.
Yeah. Both were up.
And it's easy to say from up here, but I think both guys, with, you know, a little more quickness, might have been able to get out of the way of each one of those pitches. And ball into shallow left center. Here comes Andrew. Not this time. A base hit for Cesar Izturis. And that was a rather determined at bat. He just would not yield, and finally gets the hit.
Well, I've always liked Izturis as a shortstop, and his last years in LA, he was getting better as a hitter. And this is a good job. Sinker away, reaches out and slaps it into center field. And Andrew got a good jump on it, but he just couldn't get there in time.
I love it when you use our nationwide K-zone. So that was really a pretty good pitch by Carlisle. The bunt by Marmol. Carlisle to first. Scott Thorman with the coverage, and East Turris has been moved into scoring position on the sacrifice bunt. Here is Alfonso Soriano to the plate.
And John, he has an unusual stance. Look how wide it is. Now watch him bring his back foot back. Now he plants at the exact same spot that he started. Gets his momentum going forward, and he hits against that firm front side. Beautiful swing right there. It's an unbelievable swing that he has. That one he hit a fly ball to left field the first time up, but he has 218 career home runs, John, and 218 career stolen bases. Real good balance.
So he can do a lot of different things offensively. That slider misses for ball one to Soriano. Soriano hitting .319, got 10 home runs now. It was a long while before he hit even one home run. Now I've been hitting him with great frequency. He is a very dangerous hitter. That one is backhanded by Renteria. The long throw.
Man.
He got him. That was astonishing because Soriano's a fast runner.
When the ball was first hit, I didn't think he was going to be able to get Soriano on it, although the ball was hit sharply. And he got rid of it quickly, but Soriano, one of the speedy base runners in the National League. And he gets out of the box pretty well. That's a pretty strong, accurate throw there. Renteria, watch how quickly he gets rid of it. Throws across his body a little bit, very accurate.
And an excellent call by Adrian Johnson, the first base umpire.
Excellent play there, and a great play by the first baseman because he was able to stay on the bag.
Scott Thorman had to stretch out. So 2 down. East Turris still at second, and the ball fouled away by Felix P.A., the rookie.
John, one of the problems, the Cubs also have is that because Lilly was kicked out of the game, he may be suspended. And I don't think that would be fair, but I didn't think kicking him out of the ball game was fair either. But he's also open for suspension now.
And that's up and away for a ball. So if you're a Cubs fan, you're saying, man, what else can go wrong with all the stuff that's happened to the Cubs this year? And now this happens. It's been one of those years so far. And since the bad vibe that was right in the Cubs dugout at Wrigley just a little over a week ago, remember the fight between Zambrano and Michael Barrett, the catcher, that started in the dugout and actually extended back up into the clubhouse. Barrett eventually had to be taken to the hospital, although nothing serious occurred. And I can say that because nobody was punching my face. But the next day, Lou Piniella got ejected and kicked dirt all over Mark Wegner, the third base umpire. Then he was suspended for 4 days. Anyway, since all of that happened, the Cubs have played some of their best ball of the year. They've gone 5-2 since then. And that is strike 3 call on the outside corner. So Carlisle gets out of the jam. Runner stranded at second. Chipper Jones not in the lineup, but we'll hear from him. Peter Gammons will visit with the great Atlanta slugger from the clubhouse.
What's your favorite brand, America?
We love baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet. Stolen bases, goat cheese, pizza, bottled water, and Chevrolet.
Stolen bases, goat cheese, pizza, bottled water, and Chevrolet.
Free agents, rally monkeys, fantasy leagues, and Chevrolet.
Whoa, wait, what's a rally monkey?
They go together in the good old USA. Face painters, satellite radio, endorsement deals, and Chevrolet.
Chevy, an American revolution.
It's actually illegal to pick those. It's a deer. Wait here. Hey, buddy. How are you?
Get away from me! What's the problem? What's the big deal?
We're good.
You're so awesome.
Yeah, I know. Let's go pitch a tent.
Powerful odor and wetness protection. Right Guard Sport. Never get caught off guard.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell. We're at Turner Field in Atlanta. There's been some bad blood between the Cubs and Braves early on. We're also happy to report that Chipper Jones took some batting practice tonight for the first time in a while. He's on the disabled list, and Chipper Jones is standing by down near the Atlanta dugout, or rather clubhouse, with Peter Gammons.
Chipper, what did it feel like taking batting practice today?
I felt like I was swinging a telephone pole. It's been 3 weeks since I picked up a bat, and it felt pretty good. But obviously the quickness in the swing is not there. It's going to take a little time to get it back.
What kind of timetable now are you looking at?
If I continue to get better each day, hopefully we'll reassess on Tuesday in Minnesota, take some live batting practice, and at some point during this next road trip to Minnesota or Cleveland, I want to be in there.
Are you concerned at all that this is something that can linger throughout the rest of the season?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt. That's why I've taken this long to try and get it fully healed before I get back in there. Certainly don't want to be in and out of the lineup and on and off the DL the rest of the year. I'd like to be in there consistently from here on.
Chipper, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Peter. Appreciation to Chipper Jones. Joe, I know you spent some time with Chipper.
Well, I was trying to find out exactly how it hurts, and when he swings the bat, he has like one finger buried. That's part of the problem, and it rolls over the heel of his hand, and that's when he really gets the pain shooting up his arm. But it was a freak accident because he leaped over the third baseman, and he came down on both his hands, and that's how he injured them.
It truly was a freak play, and we'll be able to look at it here shortly as Buddy Carlisle leads off against Carlos Marmol, who came out of relief of Ted Lilly, who was ejected from the game in the first inning. The fastball in there for a called strike. No score, last of the third. Carlisle, a right-handed pitcher who bats left-handed. There's Marmol, a 24-year-old from the Dominican Republic. And Carlisle can swing the bat a little bit. Lobs one into shallow center. There's PA. One man gone. Talking about the injuries sustained by Chipper Jones. Talking about a freak play. He was running with a pitch, and the ball was grounded right to the third baseman. He stopped. Third baseman dives to get the ball. And watch what happens the way he comes down.
Well, he landed on both his palms of his hand. He really hurt it. He was called safe there because he was never tagged by the third baseman as he was leaping over his body.
Kelly Johnson, the leadoff man, takes a called strike. The 25-year-old Kelly Johnson struck out against Lilly in the first inning. That ball is hit well. Deep to right field, and a home run. 1-0 Atlanta. Kelly Johnson has got some pop. That's his 8th home run this year.
Well, we talked about him being an outfielder before, and then he moved him into the infield, so he still has that outfielder swing about him. That pitch is pretty much in the middle of the plate, up a little bit. Beautiful swing by Johnson.
Well, he has been one of the most potent second basemen this side of Chase Utley of the Phillies. He's now got 8 homers, 35 batted in, 5 triples, 13 doubles, and he's the leadoff man. That's a base hit for Yunel Escobar. A lot of young talent in the lineup for the Braves tonight. Johnson, a rookie. Escobar, a rookie. Santalamacchia, a rookie. Thorman in his first full year. Francoeur's a veteran in this lineup, and he's 23. Now, the other thing is Carlos Marmol. Now, he was a starter. He was in the big leagues with the Cubs last year, but they've used him as a reliever this season. And how long is he going to be able to go? He had thrown 19 pitches in the first inning and the third. Here's Edgar Renteria. Renteria being hit by the pitch in the first inning is what set everything off, as the slider was in the dirt for ball 1. Renteria hit by a pitch, and Ted Lilly was then ejected for that. When order was restored, Marmol came in to pitch, and Renteria stole second base and came in with a late pop-up slide and his forearm or the back of his hand. Landed right on the nose of Mike Fontenot, the rookie second baseman for the Cubs.
But when you watch the Cubs, I mean, they're kind of put in a bad position now because they can't have to make sure that they pitch away more than anything else now. Because if a ball accidentally gets away and hits another Brave hitter, they may be tossed out of the ball game.
Interestingly,
so there was more than just the ejection. I mean, this changed the whole face of this game.
Yesterday, a Braves reliever, that's a called strike with a high slider, 1 ball 1 strike. A Braves reliever, after starting pitcher Tim Hudson was knocked out of the game with an injury, came in. I think it was Pete Moylan, and he hit Sean Gallagher of the Cubs with a pitch, but was not ejected from the game. Tim Cheetah, the plate umpire at that time, said, no, that was not intentional. That's a base hit into shallow right. Coming quickly around second, Escobar. Now Jack Jones was in behind him, and the ball will have to be retrieved by East-Touris. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Peter Gammon. Sunday Night Baseball from Atlanta. No score, or 1 run is now in the first inning. The pitch from Ted Lilly that hit the shortstop Edgar Renteria got Ted Lilly ejected from the game, and that's the play at second base when Renteria subsequently stole second and got Mike Fontenot right in the schnoz, it looked like, right there. So Renteria has just followed that up with a bloop single to right. Fontenot seems to be okay. He's still in there. And the Braves with a run home. They've had 3 straight hits here against Carlos Marmol. Here's the cleanup man, the slugger, Andrew Jones. And that high slider for a called strike. Andrew grounded out to third as the first batter faced by Marmol back in the first. Yesterday, the Cubs starting pitcher, by the way, Joe, Jason Marquis, he got knocked out with ineffectiveness in the second inning. The Cubs bullpen had to pitch the last 6 1/3 innings of that game. So this bullpen's a little thin to have to be pitching almost an entire game tonight.
John, I was watching, talking to Andrew Jones before the game, and also Terry Pelton, the hitting instructor. And you can see a different stance from Andrew Jones than what we saw last year and even the beginning of the season. He was really spread out before, and Terry and Andrew told me that he was losing his balance, and that's why he was over swinging. But now he's starting to narrow his stance, and they're trying to find the right spot. They haven't found it yet, but he feels like he's closer to it every single day. He feels better in the batter's box.
Chased that high slider. Got a piece of it to stay alive. He launched one over the center field wall here last night. There's Terry Pendleton, the hitting instructor for the Braves.
And Terry feels that he is very close, to getting Andrew where they want him to be. I mean, he's never going to hit 350, but he wants it to at least be under control in the batter's box and not lose his balance as much.
A soaring fly ball into shallow right center. That's Jock Jones. The runner's not going anywhere. So Andrew is retired. He's 0 for 2 in the game. But Andrew's one of those guys, once he gets it figured out, he's got 11 home runs right now. We could come in a week later, he could have 18 home runs. Andrew can hit him in bunches and has at various times over his career.
Well, he hit 41 last year, 51 the year before. So, I mean, he's averaged 36 or so home runs throughout his career. And we have to remember, in 1997, he hit the 2 home runs in the World Series against the since the New York Mets, and we've been seeing him since that. Yankees, you're right. The Mets haven't made it there yet. Against the Yankees, he hit the 2 home runs as a teenager, and he's been hitting home runs ever since.
Now high and tight to Jeff Francoeur. Hello. What do you think, Joe? Any intent there?
Well,
if you're an umpire, you got to kick him out.
You have to ask Mr. Wolf.
The smash foul.
I don't think it scared Francoeur.
Hung right in there for the next one and hit it hard. The first one was high and tight.
Well, that's what I was saying before, is that they, were forced to try to pitch away, but he came inside, and I think you have to. You have to pitch inside if you're going to be effective against a lot of these right-handed hitters.
And it is a fallacy to say that if after they've issued that kind of a warning, if somebody else gets hit, that guy's going to be thrown out. That's just not the case. There's a An appeal denied by Adrian Johnson. No swing, he said.
Well, it still has to be intent, according to the umpire. If the umpire thinks he's throwing at him, he can kick him out. Or without a warning, as we saw today, Ted Lilly was ejected.
Pete Moylan yesterday hit Sean Gallagher after the warning was issued, and he was not kicked out. That just makes it through. And here comes Escobar for the second Atlanta run. The third baseman DeRosa made a dive. The shortstop Torres was also in the vicinity, but somehow it made it through. Another RBI for Jeff Francoeur, and he has been a great run producer for the Braves this year.
Well, that's a seeing eye single because he broke the bat and it went right through. Take a look on the nationwide K zone. Breaking ball away. You see he hits it right off the end of the bat, but he gets enough of it to be able to pull it in the hole. And right under the glove of DeRosa.
Even if these tourists had been able to keep it on the infield and not get anybody out, a run would not have scored.
Correct. That's what you try to do, just knock the ball down. And they tried. They just couldn't get the job done.
Francoeur, probably if you're a Braves fan, you're not all that surprised. He's hitting better than 370 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. So,
well, he leads the Braves in RBIs as well. And I know Chipper's been injured, but even he's only had 60 at bats less than Francoeur. So percentage-wise, Francoeur is still driving in more runs for his bat.
44 RBIs now for Jeff Francoeur. Andrew Jones, despite his slump, has 42 batting in. The batter, Matt Diaz, did he swing? No, says Adrian Johnson, the first base umpire. The appeal, 2-0 the count. Jeff Francoeur, managers love those 2-out RBI hits. That's some clutch hitting when that happens. Of course, his bat exploded. I don't know that that's how he intended to do it. 2-1 the count to Diaz.
Well, a lot of times you hit line drives. In fact, I was laughing with him before the game because last night he hit a line drive to third base with a runner in scoring position, and he was really upset.
So he clobbered one and got nothing for it. Tonight, the bat explodes, and he knocks in the run. 2-1. Way outside, back to the backstop. And the runners move up. So Marmol, Joe, in this inning, doesn't look like he's got much left to give. 3-1 the count, and the Cubs bullpen is busy now. There's Will Ullman, a left-hander, getting ready. Remember, the bullpen pitched 6 1/3 innings here yesterday, and they have a game tomorrow night, a makeup of an earlier rainout. They got to go home and play Houston in a National League game tomorrow. There's Larry Rothschild, the pitching coach, trying to figure out how they're going to knit all these innings together with a beleaguered bullpen.
I mean, you could start Lilly tomorrow.
Yeah, he should be pretty fresh. And back to the screen. So the guy that was scheduled to pitch tomorrow, I suppose they had well, Carlos Zambrano. I don't think they're going to bypass him. Zambrano scheduled tomorrow. Rich Hill Tuesday when they host to Seattle.
Hill has been pitching well also.
Hill has been outstanding this year. Rich Hill has been superb. And Zambrano, they feel like he's just starting to find it now himself. After an early slump. He's Torres. Low throw dug out by the Gold Glover Derek Lee, and Diaz is retired. 2 runs and a 2-0 Atlanta lead. Lee, then Barrett and Jones coming up. The Cubs in town. And way inside to Derek Lee with a curveball from Buddy Carlisle.
But Derek Lee had just come off a 2 for 20 slump, coming into Atlanta. And I said to him, you must have been hitting a lot of line drives that they were catching. He said, no. He was rolling over a lot of ground balls. So last night, first time up, he shoots a ball to right field for a base hit.
Carlisle, after 2 curveballs, blows a fastball by him. 1-2. Carlisle looks like he knows what he's doing out there, Joe.
But he definitely knows how to use both sides of the plate. He's sinking the fastball in every once in a while, and then he's riding it away from the right-handers.
High and tight. 2-2. So is he going fastball again here, or are we going to see him use that hook again?
I'm still trying to figure out how we're going to decipher when they're throwing at somebody. That was a fastball up and in to Derek Lee.
2-2. And he changed up that time.
Change up in.
3-2. Carlisle, 29 years old. Got roughed up earlier this year in a start. He's back in the minors and made the start last Tuesday. Only allowed 1 hit, and he strikes out Derek Lee with the high hard one. Now, here's Matt Weiner.
All right, John, just a reminder as you cover the Cubs and Braves, Game 2 of the NBA Finals has tipped off in San Antonio. That game on ABC. The Spurs are out to a 12-6 lead. LeBron James on the bench already with 2 fouls. On ESPN2, North Carolina, South Carolina tied at 4 with a spot in the College World Series on the line.
Big one in both venues. And Renteria throws out. Michael Barrett, and 2 men are gone here. Barrett is now 0 for 2. And here comes Jock Jones. Edgar Renteria. You know, Edgar, he's a very quiet guy. You don't see him with a lot of quotes in the newspapers. He's not an outspoken guy. But tonight he's in the sort of the center of all the controversy. Jock Jones, who grounded a short his first time. The Cubs have only 1 hit so far in this game. Carlisle allowed only 1 hit in 7 innings this past Tuesday. That's a called strike. So Carlisle is on somewhat of a roll. Of course, last Tuesday, after he beat the Florida Marlins in one of the games of a doubleheader, after the game, Bobby Cox said, "You pitched great, kid, and we're sending you back to the minors now." Carlisle gave up 1 run, 1 hit in 7 innings against the Marlins. 5 strikeouts, 3 walks. Curveball in the dirt to Jock Jones. 3-1 to Jones. Jock, who's got some power, but he's not displayed it so far this year. Only 2 home runs. He had 27 home runs for the Cubs last year. 3-1 the count. And he chops that high fastball. Foul ball, 3-2. By the way, if he were here, we would have seen, I think, Cliff Floyd in the lineup tonight. Floyd's been hitting the ball real well for the Cubs lately. Average up at 306, but Cliff is on a bereavement leave, and with his father, who is very, very ill in Chicago. Send our prayers and best wishes to Cliff Floyd. He should rejoin the Cubs tomorrow. Off the fists, and Floyd, or rather Jones, is thrown out by Johnson. Stay tuned. In 60 seconds, we will visit with Lou Piniella. That should be interesting. From the Cubs dugout, back with Lou Piniella in 60.
Behold the power of Phantom. Gillette Fusion Power Phantom. Fusion Power is so advanced you barely feel the blades. Shaving can create power. Soothing micropulses help you reduce friction and increase razor glide. You'll barely feel the blades. You'll really feel the difference. The comfort of 5 blades plus the precision of 1. Gillette Fusion Power.
Watch Fast Cars and Superstars, the Gillette Young Gun Celebrity Race this week on ABC.
Today, we're going to be learning how to deal with a neighbor's overgrown lawn.
Look at that, will you? That really pokes my hive. When working outside like we are, you definitely want the Hager Cool 18 camp shirt.
And Cool 18 pants.
They're made right to wick away moisture and keep you cool and dry. These gentle grazing animals will keep this lawn neatly trimmed. Oh, I'd be careful walking barefoot out here for a while.
All right.
See you next time.
Till then, we'll be right here making things right.
Louis, there?
And at Turner Field, Atlanta. Remember, not only on ESPN, but ESPN HD, presented by Olivia and Lou Piniella, the manager of the Cubs, the beleaguered Cubs right now. And we are pleased to be joined from the dugout now by Lou Piniella. Lou, many thanks.
Lou, this is Joe.
Joe, how y'all doing?
Good. Our understanding is there was not a warning issued before the ball game.
No warning whatsoever.
So if that means it was just blatantly intentional is for him to throw him out, correct?
Well, the umpire felt that our pitcher was throwing at the hitter intentionally. Our guy contends he was just trying to pitch inside, about like Hudson was last night.
That was my next point. If Soriano got hit, and it wasn't intentional, but this was intentional.
Well, that was the umpire's interpretation, and you know, you can explain your reasoning to him, but really you're not going to change your opinions.
All right.
Well, what about Renteria's slide at second base on Fontenot?
I don't know. Jim Joyce was there. He saw it. You can ask him if he's Mike.
And what about your bullpen? You going to be able to get through 9 tonight?
Well, we're going to try. I mean, we're short. Our starting pitcher only went an inning plus yesterday, and we're going to have to double switch when we pull these pitchers like we did here, and hope that we can get a couple innings from each of them.
So Ullman's in now, so you're hoping to get at least 2 out of him.
That's what we're going to try to do.
Lou, many thanks.
Thanks.
Lou Piniella from the Cubs dugout. And here is Will Ullman in from the bullpen, and Santalamakia. First ball swinging right through the middle. As a left-handed hitter, he singled sharply to right in the second. As a right-handed hitter, right through the middle here against the lefty Ullman.
Well, that's right there was a real example of keeping your cool with Lou Piniella there, because I know he was very upset about what happened.
Yeah, you were trying to egg him on.
No, I wasn't. I just wanted to find out what happened.
Is Will Ullman the pitcher? You saw Angel Pagan now in right field. Pagan in the 9th spot of the order, and as Lou said, they'll be using the double switch when they bring these pitchers in, because they're going to need multiple innings from these pitchers for a while if they're going to be able to try and stay in this game and patch it all together until the late innings. Ball 1 to Scott Thorman. Now, ordinarily, we wouldn't see Ullman until maybe the 7th inning. He's a guy who's been used in the late innings the last few weeks to face some tough lefties. Often either in a tight game or when they have the lead. So this is very early, the way he's been used here most recently, for Ullman to be in the game. But these are rather extreme times for the Chicago Cubs. Again, Jason Marquis, Lou was talking about it. Jason Marquis lasted only 1 2/3 innings as the starting pitcher last night. Gave up 6 runs, 2 earned runs, although his own throwing error resulted in all the unearned runs. And there's a fastball too low. 2-1 the count. And then the starting pitcher tonight, Ted Lilly, was ejected from the game after just 2/3 of an inning when he hit Renteria with a pitch with 2 down in the first. Scott Thorman, 25-year-old first baseman, got some power, and a foul that is out of play off to the left.
Well, the Braves first basemen have not lived up to their expectations. They've actually struggled mightily so far this year. And if things continue, they're going to need another bat in this lineup. You can look for something to happen at the trading deadline.
His first baseman hitting as a group only .203, last in the majors and next to last in RBIs from those first basemen. But that's a solid single to right for Thorman. And Santalamakia will stop at second base. So they greet Ullman with consecutive singles, including one by the left-handed hitter. Ullman did not pitch in yesterday's game. In Friday's game, they got 6 innings from their starter, Sean Marshall. Ullman pitched the 7th inning in that game. But it's the rare game where he pitches more than 1 inning. In fact, in 26 games this year, Joe, he's pitched only 15 2/3 innings. So it's often 1 or 2 batters that he comes in to face. Here's Buddy Carlisle in a bunting situation. He's the pitcher working on a shutout. Like to move those runners over. They got the wheel play on, and he swings at it, fouling it. The whole middle of the infield was wide open, with these tourists breaking to cover third from shortstop and Fontenot breaking to cover first from second.
And this is Bobby Cox at his best. He lets him swing away. You can see Derek Lee in very tight, close at third base. Everyone's charging.
And that may change the way the Cubs play this defensively.
Now, if you're Derek Lee and you're that close and the guy swings, what goes through your mind?
Well, I hope he hits it the other way. But I think they're still going to play it the same, for him to bunt. He just may have a little more margin for error if they don't put the play on.
Well, they put on a different version of that play this time with Fontenot staying in the middle.
They made a mistake. Someone made a mistake there because his tourist broke for third. And DeRosa did not break toward the plate, so someone made a mistake. You see him talking about it now. Watch, his tourist will break for third, so he's supposed to come in, and it doesn't happen. Watch, DeRosa does not come in from third base. So that's someone missed the sign there.
Well, I imagine it's got to be these tourists, right?
Well, I would think it was DeRosa because he's not accustomed to playing third as much.
But isn't he the guy who's
not all the time? They were looking into the dugout. Someone in the dugout was giving the signs when they were walking back together.
DeRosa's looking into the dugout from third base.
Yeah.
But
now he is giving a sign now. But when they were walking back, they were both looking.
The Cubs are fortunate that the ball didn't get bunted on that.
Yeah, well, the reason I say it was DeRosa was because the second baseman didn't break for first base. He stayed at second base.
Carlisle bunts it foul on 2 strikes. That is strike 3.
On the wheel play, you will find the second baseman will break for first base sometimes. But in this case, he stayed there, meaning the shortstop was breaking to third because 2 things can happen. They can get a force out at second as well. You don't have to throw to first base. So that tells me that the wheel play was on and the second baseman stayed there and that DeRosa should have charged. Because you can start a double play that way by charging it, getting it, and throwing to second base. You don't always have to get the force out at third base. You can get it at second, and that'll keep the double play in order anyway.
So if it was bunted hard to third, he could throw to second and still get a double play. Except the third baseman wasn't charging.
And it didn't work anyway, so no harm, no foul.
Kelly Johnson has struck out and homered. He knocked in the first run of the night. He takes a slider from Oman for a called strike. 2 men on. That's a big play. Carlisle's inability to bunt those runners over. Saltalamacchia still at second. Thorman still at first, and a double play would end the inning. Kelly Johnson, 25-year-old, with some thunder in that bat. Slider slapped foul into the Cubs dugout. You think that was intentional, Joe?
Intent is the word of the evening, right?
See if you think this was intentional. Look out.
Yeah, well, he tried to get them all.
Could have taken out the rest of them with that foul ball. And the fastball puts him away. Oman blowing that one right by. Kelly Johnson, 2 down. And now the young Yunel Escobar will come up. So Johnson not able to do any damage against the tough lefty. And that's what Oman's stock and trade is right now for the Cubs. He's the guy to come in and get a guy like Kelly Johnson or Scott Thorman, a tough lefty, out, but usually late in the game. We're only in the 4th inning. 2 men on, 2 men out. 2-0, Atlanta leading. And a wild swing by Escobar. The Cuban emigre. 0-1 the count. Escobar struck out his first time against Ted Lilly, and then hit a single and scored a run in that 3rd inning rally when the Braves got their 2 runs against Carlos Marmol. And a foul out of play, so quickly Oman is ahead of him, 0-2. It's a big batter to get. If you don't get Escobar, you could have lots of trouble, because on deck is Edgar Renteria. Andrew Jones behind him. The Braves 2 down this season have hit well. That's just in all of their at-bats, not specifically with runners in scoring position. 0-2 the count. And a foul. The Braves hitting .264 overall this year. By the way, Edgar Renteria is not on deck. That's Chris Woodward. What happened to Edgar? To the count to Escobar in the dirt and by Barrett a little bit, and the runners will advance. Saltalamacchia to third, Thorman over to second. And the wild pitch. Now 2 runners in scoring position for Atlanta. Is Bobby Cox already without Chipper Jones, and until last night when they scored a bunch of runs. They got 9 runs in the game last night. The Braves have been struggling offensively without Chipper Jones and with Andrew in a slump. Runs have been hard to come by for Atlanta lately. 1-2. The slider hit him. Thorman very upset because he had everything in his favor there. Had him in a 2-strike count, and instead of putting him away, he hits him with the slider. So that's a big mistake. The bases are loaded. Here's that pitch.
Hit him on the back leg, looks like, on his shin. Keeps that foot down and could not get it out of the way.
Barrett out to conference with Ullman. The bases are loaded, and Chris Woodward from the Atlanta bench. Here's the Cubs bullpen.
John, I guess there was no intent on that, was there?
He's still out there.
Yeah.
So here is Chris Woodward. He was with the New York Mets last year, a very versatile player. He's got some power. But he is not Edgar Renteria, who is due up. Edgar was hitting over .320 for the year. Got lots of home runs, 3rd of the team in home runs. So we'll have to get a report about what happened to Edgar Renteria. Bases loaded, 2 down. There's that slider. That's the 20. I think that's the one he was trying to make to Escobar. Ball and a strike.
Well, let's take a look at this pitch on the nationwide K-zone, and this is exactly what you're talking about. This is a 2-strike pitch. If you can throw it there, that's a strikeout pitch.
1-1 the count. Fastball inside. 2-1. Trying to keep Woodward from feeling comfortable up there.
Well, I give the Cubs pitchers credit. They have not stayed away from pitching inside, and I think, again, as I said earlier, you need to pitch inside to keep hitters honest, and they have been able. They've continued to do that.
2-1 the count. The bases are loaded. This is a big moment here. High pop fly. The right fielder Angel Pagan calls off Fontenot, the second baseman, and the Braves leave them loaded and leave Andrew Jones on deck. In 60 seconds, we're going to visit with John Smoltz, who was originally the starter for the Braves tonight.
What do you want in a home? Everybody has a different idea. Yet everybody should expect the same things in a mortgage. One without application or closing fees. Without private mortgage insurance. And guarantees that you'll close on time and get the best deal. Introducing the opportunity to get the mortgage you always wanted for the home you've always wanted. No fee mortgage plus. Only from Bank of America. Bank of Opportunity.
Sports are great for a kid's body. Steroids aren't. They can ruin tendons in legs and arms. Steroids can stunt bone growth and increase the chances of liver cancer, heart attack, and stroke. Steroids don't make great athletes. They destroy them. Talk to your kids. Need help? Get help. Visit drugfree.org.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell. From Turner Field, Atlanta, the Atlanta Braves trying to get even with the Cubs in this 4-game series after losing 2 of the first 3. And we are very happy to be joined now by John Smoltz from the Atlanta dugout. And John, we were actually hoping to see you on the mound tonight. So how are you? Give us the latest report on your shoulder. What's going on?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. I'm probably going to get in trouble with my parents because I didn't tell them I wasn't pitching tonight. So sorry, Mom, Dad.
When are you
I'm doing
to pitch?
okay. I'm going to pitch Friday in Cleveland. Friday or Saturday, whenever the next start rolls in. And it's probably just best that they didn't listen to me and I listened to them. So it's a sign of getting a little smarter in old age, I guess.
What do you think about the first inning tonight? How did it look from your dugout?
Well, that's a tough way to
question. I know that.
That's a tough way to get prepared for a game and then exit.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't know the reasoning. I guess it was too close to the head is the reason they probably tossed him. But obviously for Ted Lilly, that stinks.
This is Buddy Carlisle back to work now. The Cubs have Mark DeRosa, former Brave, then Mike Fontenot and Cesar Izturis to follow. And DeRosa grounded out his first time. And as I understand it, you and DeRosa are pretty good buddies, John, as he lines one to center for a base hit.
Yeah, we are, and he's been razzing me all the last 10 days because I missed my start there in Chicago, and of course I missed it here. And he basically thinks that's because I'm dodging him. But no, we work out, and he's been looking forward all year to seeing what I was going to do to him, and I finally conveyed to him in BP what I was going to do, and he was not going to be ready for it. That's my story.
So he was looking at an offer then tonight.
Probably, but that's the trash talk we'll be able to do once we regain working out in this offseason.
I read a comment from Glavine the other day, John, and he said that you and he and Max and a lot of guys used to play golf, and it was well chronicled you played a lot of golf. But he said when you guys were on the golf course, actually you were most of the time you were talking about how to get hitters out on the opposing team.
Right, we did that a lot, and I think people don't understand the longevity of our careers. A lot of it has to be something has to be said for what we did away from the game to get the release away, but at the same time use that as picking each other's brains. We had a lot of fun, and you got to have fun in this game for as long as and as much pressure there is. So we just used it to our advantage, and I feel sorry for other organizations that don't let their players play golf for whatever reason. They've got their reasons.
Let me ask you a question. Were you ever standing over a 3-foot putt and he asked you how to get Barry Bonds out?
No, we never crossed the line when it came to stuff like that. If there was a hitter you couldn't get out, we never used that at a moment of trying to get him to miss the putt.
Hey, Edgar Renteria, who was in the center of the storm in that first inning, as Mike Fontenot, the rookie, takes the ball 2-2. They lifted him for a pinch hitter in the 4th inning. Any idea what happened to Renteria?
I don't know if it's his hand where he got hit, probably aggravating him a little bit right now. So that would be my guess, would be where he got hit in the hand.
Have you ever been ejected from a game in one of these beanball type things?
Yeah, matter of fact, against Philadelphia.
That's a fair ball past Thorman and down the right field line. DeRosa digging for third. They're going to wave him home. Heading for third is Fontenot, and the rookie hits a triple to knock in the Cubs' first run of the night. 2-1 Atlanta.
Well, now Fontenot gets some revenge of his own after he was bowled over at second base by Renteria. He rakes this ball down into the corner. Fastball pretty much in the middle of the plate, and he pulls it past Thorman at first base, and you could see that they were shading him around to right center, right down the line, and by the time they were able to get over and pick it up, 1 run is scored, and he's at third with a triple.
And he's Turris into left field. Tagging but not going anywhere is Fontenot, as left fielder Diaz fires it into the cutoff man, Woodward, who's now at third base. So Turris is gone on 1 pitch and was unable to get that runner home from third. Angel Pagan is coming up now. 2-1. Atlanta is leading. But John, you were telling us that when you got ejected from a game and one of these beanball things.
Yeah, it really was. There was no warnings. There was nothing. We had a couple altercations where Eddie Perez got hit a couple times, and I hit a batter. No warnings, right at the belt, and I got ejected. And it was unfortunate because it would have been over. The game was over. You know, it would have been over, and what followed after that was, you know, kind of a brawl that was unneeded. So in that situation, I thought the umpire made the wrong call because.
How long ago was that?
Gosh, this would have been Paul Bird was with the Phillies, so this is in the late 90s.
Oh, several years ago. Yeah.
So I think that's my point, John, is you guys, meaning the players, know how to handle these situations if they're allowed to.
Absolutely. And I think in this day and age, with all the right intentions to try and keep from, you know, there was a time and era where there was a lot of these beanball situations. So, but you're right. I think the game takes care of itself, and you know, umpires trying to do the best they can, and I think some of the suspensions are trying to do its job there too. But sometimes it makes it worse.
I agree with that.
Angel Pagan, the hitter, trying to get that runner home from third to tie the game with 1 out here in the 5th inning. John Smoltz is here with us from the Atlanta dugout. And John, this Atlanta club has been struggling lately. It's been a struggle to score runs.
We have. We've hit a slew of left-handers, and the left-handers have had their way with us lately, and some good left-handers. I mean, but without Chipper in the lineup, it's going to be very difficult.
Now, Fontenot holds it third, even though the ball was hit very softly, and Thorman is too late to get the hustling Pagan. It's an infield hit. And I don't understand, Joe, why Fontenot wasn't running on that little ground ball.
Well, I think they were playing the infield halfway, and he didn't get a good break right away, but I agree with you that he probably should have gone. A lot of times you're going on contact, and he froze right there. It might have been a close play at the plate because Thorman did a good job of charging the ball, and that's why Pagan was safe at first base. So he's coming in thinking he's going to go to the plate, and then he has to turn and get it back to Kelly Johnson, and he can't do so in time.
An infield hit for Pagan. Runners at first and third. The middle infield double play depth down. Here is Soriano, and a swinging strike 1. John, did you talk to Renteria after he was hit by that pitch in that first inning?
No, did not. No, was sitting there and obviously decided to check out the first base sideline.
I was going to say, you didn't run out on the field toward the mound, did you?
No.
That's kind of an unwritten rule, isn't it? That pitchers don't get involved with other pitchers, right?
You try not to. I mean, there's cooler heads usually prevail, but you let your big guys like Thorman, patrol.
Let the enforcers do that, right?
Runners at first and third. Alfonso Soriano trying to get at least that tying run home. It's a high drive, deep right center. Francoeur way back at the wall. He makes the catch. And Fontenot easily scores the tying run. A 390-foot sacrifice fly to one of the deepest parts of the yard.
Well, he hit a home run the first pitch he saw Friday night, but it was closer to the line. This is probably the deepest part out there in right center. It's right at the 390, and there's a little corner in there. I think Soriano thinks he gets this, and watch his reaction. See, he thinks that he got enough of it to get out of the ballpark, but it's in the deepest part. See the 390, and then it goes a little further back, but a good play by Francoeur to get there in time to make the catch.
So he gets the sac fly. And John Smoltz, I think the old Atlanta ballpark, that one's gone easily.
Oh, way gone. Way gone.
When you guys moved here, a lot of your, especially your left-handed power hitters, used to complain about that 390 out there.
Well, it's a fair park. You're going to see many nights where it's going to get much more humid than tonight, and the ball's going to jump. It's a fair baseball park. I think it's one of the best in the game all the way around from the fans' point of view and playing. So it's just a fair. I can name about 10 parks that ball would not have been held in.
Hey, when you say fair, is that fair to the pitchers or to the hitters?
No, I think it's both. I mean, I'm going to be biased towards the pitchers, but I think it's both. I really do. I think this park, on nights, you won't keep balls in this park.
I agree with you. It's a beautiful ballpark.
Felix Pie, the hitter, takes 2 high. Well, John Smoltz, he's a good brain, Joe. He's been a great pitcher for him, and he's touting the ballpark at the same time. Great place to come out and see a game, he said. Yeah,
it is. It is.
Well, John, we really appreciate you coming on with us, and we hope everything's going to be all right. You'll be out there again Friday or Saturday, as you discussed.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
John Smoltz, the ball juggled at second base, and he still recovers in time. Johnson throws out Felix Pie. The Cubs get 2. This game is tied. Andrew Jones is coming up. The Braves power. Andrew and then Francoeur.
There's a moment at night when all you want is fourth meal. Melty, crunchy, spicy, and grilled.
With 2 million vehicle listings to choose from on Cars.com, you can find the right car for you.
Blue it is.
Find the right car for you. Cars.com.
Everywhere the surfer goes, 8 days later, the planet dies.
That's a challenge.
All that you know is at an end.
How do you fight something that can eat planets?
Leave that to me.
Could you stop if you wanted to?
Where will you live after a house fire? One call to Farmers Help Point could fix that. Farmers Help Point. Sanity makes a comeback.
Here, Andrew Jones, then Jeff Francoeur, and Matt Diaz. The Cubs have a new pitcher in there. And Lou Piniella told us, Joe, that he was hoping to get 2 innings out of Will Oman, but Oman threw 22 pitches in a difficult fourth. He had to get out of a bases-loaded jam. And he's gone. There's a good slider from Michael Wirtz.
And that's what they're talking about with Andrew. You see he was off balance there. Slider was way out in front. And Terry Pendleton and Andrew are working on just trying to maintain his balance throughout the swing.
You see Wirtz's numbers. He's got good stuff. Tough to hit. Another slider. And Andrew just barely got a piece of that one. And the count is 0-2. Andrew has grounded out to third and flied out to shallow right center.
Even though he's not hitting well, 223, he still has the 42 runs batted in. I mean, he's on pace to driving over 100 runs, and you can see Terry Pendleton sitting there watching and trying to figure out ways to help keep Andrew on balance.
That slider, one hop, Fontenot, and one away. Big night in the world of sports. Here's Matt Weiner.
That's right, John, as you get your business done there in Atlanta. Into the second quarter now in San Antonio, game 2 of the NBA Finals. You see the Spurs are up 35-18. LeBron James played just 3 minutes of the first quarter due to foul trouble. While North Carolina leads South Carolina in the top of the 8th for a spot in the College World Series. That game happening right now on ESPN2.
And here on ESPN and ESPN HD, it's the Braves and Cubs. Jeff Francoeur, a 23-year-old slugger, pops one up. Derek Lee. And Francoeur is gone. And one pitch. He had a single and a run batted in his last time, despite shattering his bat. He's gone on one pitch now. So Wirtz, and this is music to Lou Piniella's ears. He not only wants to see Wirtz have success, he wants to see him do it on a very few pitches, because Wirtz pitched yesterday and he pitched the day before.
Well, anytime Francoeur is going to bat, you're not going to have to throw a lot of pitches. He is a true free swinger, and he swings at the first pitch most of the time.
This series started on Thursday. The Cubs won the first 2 games of the series. They got some excellent pitching from Rich Hill on Thursday. Michael Wirtz, though, has been in every game since then. He pitched an inning Friday and an inning last night. And now here he is again. And he may have to pitch more than 1 inning tonight, although he is due up 3rd in the 6th inning. We'll see what Lou has in store there. Of course, now it's 2-2. They're not trailing. The starting pitcher this early in the game, in a tie ball game, would likely bat for himself. So we'll see what Lou's thinking. In fact, in a game like this, Joe, I think we should try to get Lou on maybe every 2 innings instead of just once in the game. 1-2 the count. By the way, we did get A report from the Atlanta clubhouse about Edgar Renteria. He suffered a contusion on the left hand. As John Smoltz conjectured, he thought maybe it was related to getting hit in the hand in the first inning. And that's probably what did happen. They took x-rays just as a precaution, and the x-rays were negative.
And that could be, one of the reasons he was really upset, because he was hurting. Because last night when they hit Soriano did not make any motion toward the mound. He just went on and took his base at first base. So you have to give him a lot of credit for that, because he had hit 3 home runs the night before, and he gets hit on the first pitch of the ball game, and he did not even yell at anyone or whatever. He just took his base.
Wirtz ran that one down and in to Diaz. Diaz is struck out and grounded out. 2-2. We're in the last half of the 5th inning. Michael Wirtz, the 4th Cubs pitcher of the game. Already we're only in the 5th. That slider is ripped into left field over the head of Easturis. Soriano will get it back in. Diaz has the Braves' 8th hit of the game. Renteria was the 3rd batter of the night against Ted Lilly, the Cubs starter. This is when he got hit.
Well, you can see him. He took his hand off the bat, and I think that's to protect yourself, because he thought it might be going towards his face, and he puts his hand up to protect himself, and he takes it on the back of the hand.
So right under his chin. And that was part of what Jim Wolf said was the reason for the ejection. He felt like that it not only was it intentional, but up around the head.
Well, he thought it was intentional. I mean, last night when Soriano got hit, he got hit up around the shoulder as well. So
Jared Santalamacchia, a 22-year-old catcher. There goes Diaz, and Santalamacchia, who earlier had 2 singles into left center. A lot of room out there near the 380 sign. Soriano puts it away. To the 6th inning, 2-2. It'll be Derek Lee, then Michael Barrett, and then the pitcher's spot for the Cubs.
Clothing. Presented by Taco Bell. Brought to you by Budweiser. The perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Open up a world of taste. Loterman Ultra, the 1-week killer cure for athlete's foot. And Sharp Aquas. Bring the details home.
Derek Lee, first ball swinging against Buddy Carlisle, fouling a fastball back out of play. Carlisle has pitched very well again. The Cubs finally broke through against him for a couple of runs in the 5th inning. Lee has been safe on an error, and he has struck out. Takes a fastball up and in, 1 ball and 1 strike. Michael Barrett, who's hitting cleanup tonight in the absence of the regular cleanup hitter, Aramis Ramirez, is on deck. Then the pitcher's spot. We don't know. We can't see into the Cubs bullpen from here. Lee hits a soaring pop fly into shallow right. And Francoeur calls off Johnson.
And a good job there to call him off. If the outfielder can get to the ball, he's supposed to take it. It's a much easier play for him coming in.
When there's the bullpen, and Bobby Howry is warming up. So Howry, who ordinarily is the 8th inning setup man in front of Ryan Dempster, he's warming up here in the 6th inning with Michael Wirtz, who just pitched the 5th inning, due up next after the cleanup man, Michael Barrett. And Barrett hits a high fly ball down the left field line. Diaz way back there, jumps, it's gone. Just over the wall and just beyond Diaz, and the Cubs have gone ahead for the first time in the game, 3-2. The 9th home run of the year for Michael Barrett.
Looked like it was a fastball up, middle of the plate in, and he just turned on it. Maybe that's what John Smoltz was saying. The ball does carry wherever at a time. See, that ball's in. It was supposed to be away, and Diaz gets back to the wall, leaps. Ooh, can't get high enough. And he wasn't back there soon enough.
So the Cubs are ahead. Now, Michael Wirtz was not even out in the on-deck circle, but now they've scored a run, and they're still going to pinch hit for him. It's going to be Matt Merton. And keep in mind, Wirtz is pitching, or was pitching in this game for the 3rd consecutive day. And they don't have a day off tomorrow. They originally had a day off, but they're playing a makeup game from an earlier rainout with the Houston Astros at Wrigley Field tomorrow. So Matt Merton is the pinch hitter. They play at Wrigley tomorrow night at 7:05 Chicago time. And Merton, first ball swinging, a soaring fly ball. That's way up there. And Diaz, number 2. Cubs, who, of course, with the Braves not playing interleague this weekend. Cubs with the Astros for one game tomorrow night. Then starting Tuesday night, the Seattle Mariners of the American League West come to town. The Mariners have just cooled off a red-hot San Diego Padre club. They beat them the last 2 days. So the Mariners will be in. That's Ichiro and Raul Ibanez, Adrian Beltre. The ball driven by DeRosa right to Francoeur. And quickly the inning has ended. The home run by Michael Barrett has put the Cubs ahead, but a long way yet for this Cubs bullpen to have to go.
Halt! Whoa, whoa, whoa. Answer my 3 questions and I'll let you pass.
Are you kidding?
What's large as a mountain but as small as a... Hey, how many people you got in there?
8.
Whoa, is that a DVD player?
Maybe.
Do I smell cookies?
Hit the gas. That's 3.
Beloved by humans, envied by trolls. The Pilot from Honda.
It's actually illegal to pick those. It's a deer. Wait here. Hey, buddy. How are you?
Get away from me! What's your problem? It's supposed to be faster!
We're good.
You're so awesome.
Yeah, I know. Let's go pitch a tent.
Powerful odor and wetness protection. Right Guard Sport. Never get caught off guard.
This jacket means something. Buying, selling, of course, but it's about the things that really matter. Listening and understanding and really putting yourself in someone else's shoes. It's about a standard.
Century 21. The gold standard.
Why live with athlete's foot? The itching, the burning. Lotrimin Ultra treats most athlete's foot in just 1 week's use. New Lamisil Defense, 4 long weeks. But Lotrimin Ultra is so powerful, nothing cures faster. Lotrimin Ultra, the 1 week killer cure.
I've got Mike Joyner here, MVP of today's Donahue Baxter wedding. Mike, quite a performance. Yeah, well, it was a team effort. Without that block from Sully, I would have never been able to watch that Chicago-St. Louis game cast. We saw there was a lot of talk between you and Sully. Care to comment? Oh, yeah, he just told me to hang in there and do what I got to do, you know? Thank you. All right. Live from the Donahue Baxter wedding.
Braves, who got rid of the Cubs starting pitcher, 3 batters in. Actually, I guess the Braves didn't do it. It was Edgar Renteria got hit by a pitch, and the plate umpire Jim Wolf ejected Lilly, saying it was done on purpose. And the Cubs have been in their bullpen ever since. Carlos Marmol went 2 1/3. Will Oman pitched the 4th. Michael Wirtz pitched the 5th. And here's Bobby Howry, who's normally the 8th inning man in front of the closer, is in now. And Joe, the question becomes increasingly, do they have enough arms to make it through 9 in this one? They now have a 1-run lead. They've only got 3 other relief pitchers, normal relief pitchers, still available. And one of those went over 3 innings here last night, Sean Gallagher. As Scott Thorman, hitting 8th in the order, fouls one away. There's Ryan Dempster. He's the closer. And although closers usually just go 1 inning or so, keep in mind Dempster used to be a starting pitcher. So if they still have the opportunity, Dempster might be asked to go more than 1 tonight. And a foul. They got 3 other relief pitchers, including the closer Dempster, and including Gallagher, who pitched 3 1/3 last night. And there's Dempster. Gallagher threw 54 pitches here last night. Ordinarily, after something like that, a guy's going to have a day or 2 off at least. Scott Thorman has flied out and singled. Michael Barron with a home run to put the Cubs ahead here in the 6th inning. And there is that's DeRosa, and he makes the grab and foul ground. Thorman is retired, and Carlisle's going to bat for himself here against Bobby Howry. Cubs tied for second place with the Cardinals in the National League Central. The Cardinals won today. Albert Pujols hit a couple of home runs. Albert is starting to heat up now after starting slowly. The Cardinals as a team are starting to heat up. And there is strike one to Carlisle. The Milwaukee Brewers lead the Central Division. The Brewers are playing in Texas this evening and trailing in that game 3-2 in the 5th inning down in Arlington, Texas. The Rangers won the first 2 games of that series. 0-2 the count. In the Central Division, the Brewers, who got off to a great start. At one time, they were 24-10 and way ahead of everybody. But they've gone 9-19 since that great start. And although they are the only team with a winning record in the division, the division's starting to bunch up.
Well, you expected them to have a lull at some point because they have a group of young guys playing, and young guys are a little more hot and cold than the veteran players. But I still think they have a very fine ball club, and I think they're still going to be the team to beat, although if you look at St. Louis and the Cubs, you know that they have the ability to win as well.
And a foul out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Carlisle. By the way, Joe, we had a little bad blood between the families earlier here tonight in Atlanta, the Cubs and the Braves. And I thought they might go to the mattresses there for a while. 1 ball and 2 strikes the count. Welcome to Sunday Night Baseball. If you just tuned in, I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Peter Gammons as Carlisle strikes out for out number 2. And in the first inning, we had a continuation of something that started here yesterday when the Cubs leadoff man, a day after he hit 3 home runs, Alfonso Soriano got a hit with the first pitch of the game by Tim Hudson. And warnings were issued in that game, and there were no further incidents. But tonight, in the first inning with 2 down, Edgar Renteria got hit by Cubs starter Ted Lilly, and he was ejected from the game. Here is the leadoff man, Kelly Johnson, who had a home run back in the 3rd. The Cubs, who got only 1 2/3 innings from their starter last night, Jason Marquis. I suppose Marquis might be able to give him an inning or so in an emergency. Didn't throw that many last night, that's for sure. And that ball is a changeup too low from Bobby Howry, but the Cubs have been in their bullpen after getting 6 1/3 innings out of the pen last night. Since the first inning tonight, they're on their 5th pitcher of the game in only the 6th inning, and they're using the guy that ordinarily comes in the 8th inning with a lead, pitching in the 6th inning with a lead, Bobby Howry. And a foul out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, I thought it was a little bit of an overreaction by home plate umpire Jim Wolf.
And this is where he tossed Lilly. Then Kelly Johnson against reliever Carlos Marmol got the first run of the night home. The Cubs, though, after trailing 2-0, came back a triple by Fontenot. That got them going in the 5th inning. Then Michael Barrett did a home run in the 6th to put them ahead. So the Cubs, through it all, actually leading the game 3-2 against the slumping Braves, who broke through with 9 runs last night. But they'd not been scoring many runs before that, even here at home. The Braves are playing without Chipper Jones, who's been on the disabled list. A slumping Andrew Jones. Now also without Edgar Renteria, who eventually left tonight's game with a contusion on his left hand, the hand with which he reached up to block that high tight pitch from Lilly. So we've got all kinds of storylines and subplots going here, Joe. 2-2 the count to Kelly Johnson. Yunel Escobar is on deck. 3-2 Chicago in the 6th inning. And that fastball just misses inside. The Cubs last night, Jason Marquis was the starter and went 6 1/3. Bullpen allowed 3 runs and 6 hits. Tonight, the bullpen has gone 5 innings, allowing 2 runs, 8 hits. Along the left field line, Soriano giving chase, runs out of room into the crowd. Still 3-2. And the Atlanta bullpen is going now for the first time. That's Tyler Yates. Yates, who lately had been the 7th inning man for Bobby Cox. And Joe, Bobby Cox, not only one of the great managers in the game, he's bound for the Hall of Fame for the sterling managerial career. And that's ball forward to Kelly Johnson. But he also knows that his bullpen, if it becomes a battle of the bullpens, his bullpen's a little bit better shape to go at it than maybe the Cubs bullpen on this night.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, but the Cubs, you have to be happy if you're Lou Piniella, even though they lost yesterday's ball game. The Cubs bullpen pitched 6 1/3. They gave up 3 runs, but that's what's known as a quality start. If you start, your starting pitcher does that. So I have to say that he's happy with his bullpen, and they pitched very well tonight. They've given up the 2 runs. And there you see the pitchers who are left. Gallagher, Air, and Dempster are left in the bullpen. And as you mentioned, Jason Marquis, because he only threw a few pitches last night, may be able to go out and help them out if necessary.
Here is Escobar. It was 1 for 2. It was hit by a pitch. They hit and run, and beautiful execution. The second baseman, Fonsedo, had broken to cover. And Escobar rolled that one softly right through the vacated right side of the infield. Going to third is Johnson.
And one thing about Escobar, you know, a lot of people think he's going to be a great player. He led the Arizona Fall League in hitting with a 407 batting average, and that's a perfectly executed base hit. He didn't hit it hard, but with the runner breaking, the second baseman going to cover, he just rolled it through the hole on the right side.
So now, Chris Woodward, and ordinarily this would be Edgar Renteria, one of the Braves' best hitters, who has been even more important in the absence of Chipper Jones. But instead, Chris Woodward, who pinch hit for Edgar in the 4th inning. Edgar actually had his hand x-rayed. The x-rays were negative.
Well, Bobby Cox calls Edgar Renteria Mr. Consistent, because he knows what he's going to get most of the time. In these situations, he's going to get good pitch to hit. And I think that's what Bobby's thinking now. I wish Edgar was hitting.
Fastball in too tight. And also keeping this inning going here with the 2-out walk to Johnson, now the single by Escobar. The pitch count rises for Bobby Howry. Howry, before tonight, had been in 26 games and pitched 27 innings. 1 ball, 1 strike. Runners at first and third. The possible tying run at third. Fastball on the outside corner. Strike 2. Andrew Jones on deck.
John Woodward was up, and he left the bases loaded in the 4th. I'm just looking back at my scorebook to make sure. It's the 2nd time he's had runners in scoring position, or at least a runner.
With 2 down.
With 2 down.
Flight out to shallow right to leave him loaded the last time. That one is into the right center field area, but right there, taken by Angel Pagan. He kind of gave it a little jump, a little flourish. 2 men stranded. Still 3-2, Chicago.
In advertising, sometimes you need to put up a disclaimer. Like when we say that if you rub a Diet Pepsi, you get 3 wishes.
Disclaimer, Diet Pepsi is not a genie.
But when we say a test shows Diet Pepsi has more cola taste than Diet Coke, no disclaimer necessary, because that one's true. Just like Diet Pepsi tasting better when you're naked.
Disclaimer, Diet Pepsi tastes the same when you're naked. Disclaimer, disclaimer. But hey, you're naked.
What will you do with your energy today? Will you simply expend it? Or will you use it to make a difference?
invested in ways that will help generations to come. The people of Citgo have invested our energy in ways that may surprise you. For generations, we've been using our energy to do good in communities across the U.S. Citgo, there at every turn.
You know, if you look for the Energy Star logo, you can save yourself a lot of money. And Lowe's has more Energy Star appliances in stock than anyone.
Just one compact fluorescent bulb can save $30.
Running a ceiling fan can reduce the energy used by your air conditioner.
For more information on energy-saving products and projects, just visit Lowe's.com/energy.
These Energy Star appliances really save you big bucks.
Lowe's, let's build something together.
Ask for 10% off your first purchase on your new Lowe's consumer credit card or business credit account.
The Subway Series rolls into the Bronx. Once again, the Mets are in NL power while the Yankees are fighting to get back in the AL East race. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Mets versus Yankees, 8 Eastern next Sunday.
From Atlanta, we head to the 7th inning. Buddy Carlisle, the starter, in place of John Smoltz, still in there, trailing 3-2, and he delivers ball 1 up and away to Mike Fontenot. Fontenot hit a triple in the 5th inning to knock in the Cubs' first run, and then a little bit later scored the tying run. I mean, it's a high drive out into deep right center field, and a home run. Mike Fontenot launches one, and that is no cheapie to the left of that 390 sign and way up into the bleachers. Fontenot's first home run in the big leagues. He was red hot in the minor leagues. In his first major league home run ever.
Well, maybe Renteria's slide woke him up because he's hit a triple in this ball game and now a home run. And you're right, there was no doubt about it when this ball was halfway out there. You can watch in right field, Francoeur just turns and looks at it.
Fontenot is only here because of the injury to Aramis Ramirez. They brought up Fontenot with Cliff Floyd placed on the bereavement list for the weekend. And he's in the lineup because he's here. Lou Piniella says, well, this guy was lighting it up in AAA ball. He says, we really want to have a look at him. He's considered a prospect. And I think he's shown quite a bit tonight, that's for sure, under the bright lights of Sunday Night Baseball. But especially with all of the adversity that the Cubs have going in this game in particular. He has really risen to the occasion. And the Atlanta bullpen is busy. Roger McDowell, the pitching coach, has paid a visit to the mound. And there's a base hit to center for Cesar Izturis. McKay McBride, the left-hander. Chad Paranto, the right-hander. Up in the Atlanta bullpen, out in right center field. Bobby Cox and his team is trailing 4-2. Angel Pagan coming up. This is a Cubs team that they had the fight in the dugout. What, that's about 9 days ago now in Chicago with Carlos Zambrano and the catcher Michael Barrett and Piniella in his incident with the umpire Mark Wegner. The next day, and a subsequent suspension for Piniella, well deserved, a 4-day suspension. But after that, that's when they started playing well. They won 5 out of 7 since then. And as Peter Gammons said in the open to our telecast tonight, they had a players only meeting this past Tuesday, which apparently, though, it was Lou Piniella was the one who suggested it to work out some things. Peter Gammons is here tonight. Peter, Lou, which seems unusual for a manager to suggest a players only meeting. Usually managers call meetings and they are the guys who run the meeting. Well, Peter apparently has a microphone problem. 1 ball and no strikes, the count to Angel Pagan. One ball, no strikes. Pagan had an infield hit his last time. Now a bunt. Carlisle. And he moves Izturis into scoring position with that bunt.
That's one of the things we've seen Lou Piniella do. Last night, they were trailing 6-5 in the 3rd inning. And the first 2 hitters got on, and he's tried to sacrifice with DeRosa. It didn't work last night, but, I mean, he has used, you know, the small ball, the bunt. He's used that, and he thinks he's going to have to use it a lot during the season. He said the wind doesn't always blow out in Chicago.
But in this instance, it takes the bat out of the hands of Alfonso Soriano. The net effect. And they're walking him intentionally with the rookie Felix Pie on deck. And remember, Bobby Cox has a lefty. McKay McBride getting ready in his bullpen. So we'll see how this plays out. But ordinarily, you'd like to see Soriano take his cuts up there. He's one of your most potent hitters. And there's ball 3 outside. Peter Gammon, sounds like the microphone's working now. We were talking about the players only meeting, which apparently had something to do with Lou Piniella, and he said, why don't you guys have one?
Lou wanted to know. There had been some reports that perhaps the team was slipping away from him. He went to Derek Lee and said, are there problems? Do I have problems with players? And that's why they had the players only meeting. Lee came back to him and said, look, you've got 4 or 5 players who are upset because they don't have enough at bats. It wasn't about you. It's about playing time. And they moved forward with it. Lou was honest with the players, and they dealt with it. And Derek Lee is a very important figure in all this.
Two-time manager of the year and a veteran manager, managing his 3,000th game here tonight. Buddy Carlisle finishes going 6 1/3, and Atlanta is in fact going to bring in that lefty from the bullpen, McKay McBride, with Felix Pie coming up.
Nothing would make me happier than to experience a paranormal event.
He came to expose a myth.
There have been 56 deaths in 1408.
It's an evil.
Ghoulies and ghosties don't exist.
But he's just checked into a world.
Where is the bone-chilling terror?
He may never escape.
Don't you see this thing?
Based on the terrifying story by Stephen King.
Did you call the cops?
They're in 1408. The room's empty.
1408, directed by Michael Hofstrom. Rated PG-13.
That's how you want it, baby, and I don't want you around. Better believe it, and not for a minute. You know guys, they feel around. Make it on the run, baby. That's the way you are, baby.
It comes with everything. Stereo cassette, 2D navigational system, automatic anti-theft device. But high-mileage cars can also come with engine wear, because they burn oil faster. So get Castrol GTX high mileage for superior oil burn-off protection. In lab tests of 10W30, 17% better than leading conventional oils.
Hey.
Castrol GTX high mileage. It's more than just oil, it's liquid engineering.
Starts out cold and ends up refreshing. Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
Buddy Carlisle, who went not quite 8 years between major league wins. He got his first one in 1999, his second one just this past Tuesday. Carlisle, who's been in the low minors, he's been in the big leagues, he's played in Japan, he's played in Korea, and mostly this year he's been playing in the minor leagues again. But he came up and pitched 7 innings of one-hit ball to get John Smoltz on Tuesday, and then got sent right back to the minor leagues, only to be brought back up for this start tonight. Here's McKay McBride now. Carlisle allowed 4 runs and 7 hits to the Cubs, leaves trailing 4-2. But 2 men are on as Felix Pie, the left-handed hitter, the 22-year-old, and he takes the ball down and away. Who's got some pop. He hit a home run in his first major league game, and he got lots of speed as well. Let's see if they can turn 2 here. There's one at second to first. It pulled him off the bag, and Thorman thought he got back in the bag in time, but Adrian Johnson said no, and here comes Bobby Cox. Bobby Cox is very unhappy. That's a big play because it would have ended the inning without Derek Lee batting. Bobby, the last I saw, was one away from being at the top of the list in the history of the game for ejections as a manager.
Well, John McGraw has 131, as you can see there, and Bobby has 130.
Not this time for Bobby. And he had his say. Well, we'll get our own look.
Well, the throw beats him to first base. The question is whether he is on the bag or not. And you can see Thornton goes up. And very, very close play. He gets his toe back on the bag. But the question is whether PA was there in time. Very close play at first base.
So the high throw by Kelly Johnson. Remember, Kelly Johnson is a newcomer to second base this year. He's been a shortstop, a third baseman, a left fielder. So that's it for McKay McBride. And now Derek Lee, the veteran, the rookie, safe at first. And now the veteran Lee is coming up with 2 men on.
Hey, we're late.
With the Conair 13-piece professional multi-use trimmer, everybody looks good. 3 totally different blades, turbo power, and exclusive taper control adapt to today's favorite faces. Have fun. Look good with Conair.
Honey?
Yeah?
Do you know what this light switch does?
Which one?
The one on the right.
I never use that one.
All right, will you look?
Yep.
On? Off. On?
No.
Well, are you looking?
Yes.
Huh. Off. On, off, on, off, on, off, on, off.
Life comes at you fast. When it does, nobody covers your car like Nationwide. Investments, retirement, insurance.
Nationwide is on your side.
Stop wasting my time.
When you're a business owner, you don't just know the cost of doing business, you feel it. That's why Open created the American Express Simply Cash business card. Simply Cash gives you 5% back on gas and wireless phone service, 1% back on virtually everything else. Your cash back appears automatically each month on your statement, with no limit to how much you can earn. Call 1-800-NOW-OPEN to apply. Open, how American Express serves small business.
A more than just interested observer in the Atlanta dugout on the right side in the background there. And those 2 base runners inherited by Chad Paronto belong to Carlisle's record. And here's Derek Lee. It's a big moment here. Derek Lee, one of the Cubs' best hitters, one of the best hitters in the National League. Paronto has struggled much of this year. Had more walks than strikeouts and way more hits than innings pitched. Lee with a chance to open this one up considerably. Slider at the knees for a strike.
Well, he told me he was rolling over a lot of pitches, meaning that he was trying to pull too many. So you might see him take a shot toward right field. Big hole on the right side.
Look at that average with runners in scoring position. 433 for the season.
A lot of room over here.
They left it almost wide open for him.
No, he tried to pull that one.
And I'm wondering, Joe, because he was not hitting home runs, he was hitting for average, but not hitting for the long ball, that maybe there was some conscious thing where he said, hey, I've got to start hitting the long ball here.
Well, I think part of it is you have to remember he had an injured hand last year, and it takes a long time to get the strength back. You can build up strength, squeezing balls, lifting weights, but you have to build up bat swing strength.
The runner from first, PA going, and he steals it without a throw.
And we're talking about that with Chipper today. That's part of his problem. The weakness that you get in your hands, it takes a while, especially when you put a bat back in your hand, to be able to swing it freely.
So now 2 runners in scoring position. The hole on the right side not quite as big as Thorman is backed up and well off the line with no runner at first. And that sinker running down and in. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes to Derek Lee.
Well, the first couple of pitches there, Pronto wasn't going to allow him to go the other way. That was a sinker down and in as well as the pitch before.
Well, they're all, at least on the infield, all playing him to pull. The outfield's another story. Look at the outfield. They're kind of swung over toward the right field side. But the infield playing him to pull. The left fielder, Diaz, is way over in the left center. If he hits one down the left field line, he could run all night. 2-2. Still 2-2. He's Torres. After Fontenot, the rookie, led off the inning with his first major league home run. He's Torres hit a single. Pagan bunted him over to second. Soriano was walked intentionally, and PA hit into the force play. The Braves were positive that it was a double play, but the call went the way of the Cubs. Now PA has stolen second. Runners at second and third, 2 down. 4-2 the Cubs lead. Right to the shortstop, Escobar, and that's the inning. So Toronto gets his job done. 4-2 Cubs, and the power coming up for the Braves. Andrew Jones and then Jeff Francoeur. 4-2 Chicago.
Clothing is very personal, but when you give a Men's Warehouse gift card, you can be sure he'll have a happy Father's Day. You're going to like the way you look. I guarantee it.
You can lock your doors and windows, but thieves can still get in. Through this. Most home computers are used for shopping, banking, and stock trading. Yet over 80% of them are not properly protected. Learn how to protect yourself and take a bite out of cybercrime.
The new comprehensive security suite from McAfee protects you and your family from internet viruses and identity theft. Go to Comcast.net and download it now. Free for all Comcast high-speed internet subscribers. It's Comcastic.
On your wedding day, when everyone is looking at her, she'll be looking at you. So rent your tuxedo at Men's Warehouse and you'll look almost as good as she does. You're gonna like the way you look. I guarantee it.
It's easy to save on ink. Now get 20 to 40% off with 3 easy steps. Rewards, restock, recycle. Save big at Staples.
The killer is relentless.
There's been another attack.
The body count is high. The story is true. Primeval. Own it on DVD and Blu-ray June 12th.
The most realistic baseball sim ever. MLB 07 The Show, only on PlayStation. Rated E for everyone.
Behold the power of Phantom. Gillette Fusion Power Phantom. Fusion Power is so advanced you barely feel the blades. Shaving can create uncomfortable friction. Turn on Fusion Power. Soothing micropulses help you reduce friction and increase razor glide. You'll barely feel the blades. You'll really feel the difference. The comfort of 5 blades plus the precision of 1. Gillette Fusion Power.
Watch Fast Cars and Superstars, the Gillette Young Gun Celebrity Race this week on ABC.
Andrew Jones coming up for Atlanta here in the 7th. 4-2 the Cubs are leading. Peter Gammons, who always has his ear to the ground in terms of what's going on around Major League Baseball. Both of these teams have big ticket guys like Andrew Jones and Carlos Zambrano. There's been talk that neither one of them might be re-signed. And Peter, what are you hearing?
Well, I really still think there's a good chance Zambrano will get signed. I mean, understand the deal. His deal was essentially done on opening day. They were 2 phone calls away. He expected it to be done before the first pitch, and then they announced the Cubs sale, and it went out, and it really bothered him. I mean, you talked to Larry Rothschild, his arm started dropping. It was something that affected him, but they still think they can get it done. Andrew Jones, the Braves just simply don't have the money. They changed ownership, but they're not going to pay Andrew $15 million a year again. I'm afraid that he's going to probably go at the end of the year as a free agent because of the financial situation. The Cubs are uncertain, but the Braves know they can't afford it.
What about elsewhere? Are you hearing any other trade rumors?
Well, I think a lot of teams now are very interested in what's going to happen in Cincinnati. I mean, Junior Griffey is a guy that, well, he has to agree to any trade, but the White Sox had a deal for him 2 years ago that the Reds ownership backed out of. That could be reopened. And also the other one is Adam Dunn. I mean, the question is, do they then shop around and try to rebuild their pitching with Adam Dunn? The problem is that if Dunn gets traded, then the $13 million a year deals for the next 2 years go out the window, so that whoever trades for him has to redo his contract. It may be very hard to trade either guy.
There's a drive deep to center by Andrew, right at the wall of PA. Not this time for Andrew, who launched one over the wall last night, and this one right to the 400-foot marker into the glove of PA. Ken Griffey Jr., he is hot, Joe. Yeah, he's been hitting the ball, hitting a lot of home runs.
Let's take a look at this swing. It's more of an uppercut than I think he had before. Watch, he's lifting, and that's why he didn't hit the ball out. He didn't really drive it. He got underneath it because he's lifting so much. He's so much on his back leg, because I thought when he first hit it, it was gone. But make no mistake about it, John, when I talked to Andrew, he says it's not bothering him, the free agency deal, but he's human, and it's got to bother him to know that this is the only team he's ever played for. He's one of the 3 stars here, and the other 2 already signed, and that being John Smoltz and Chipper Jones. And he's the one that is not signed. He's been hitting home runs here since he was a teenager, starting against the Yankees in the World Series. And he's had a fabulous career here, and he's the one that's not signed.
Jeff Francoeur, PA on the move for this one. Going back, he's there. Number 2. So 2 men ago on, and Matt Diaz. Now, what about Griffey? Possibly being traded. I guess Griffey would have a say in that, right?
Yeah, he has a no trade clause.
But I think, Joe, at this point in his life, Ken Griffey would love to go somewhere and win. I mean, Cincinnati's not going to win with the pitching they have right now. And if he could go to a good team, I mean, I know he'd love to play at Atlanta. That's not going to happen. But the White Sox might be the right situation. It might be another situation where he'd have a chance to get to the World Series.
Here is Matt Diaz, and he takes a called strike.
I mean, that may transpire, but there aren't any guarantees that the White Sox are going to get to the World Series any more than, say some other team that's trying to trade for Griffey. Because I think there have to be some other teams that are interested who may even be closer to winning a championship.
Into the upper deck by Matt Diaz. 0-2 the count. Bobby Howry trying to finish up his second inning here as the Cubs again still trying to piece together their bullpen to get them into the 9th inning. And Howry, fortunately for the Cubs, had not pitched since Wednesday, so he's going longer than ordinary here. And is just 1 strike away from finishing his second inning. And he's looking pretty strong right now. The high fastball fouled straight back. 0-2.
I wouldn't be surprised to see the White Sox make a couple of moves. I mean, Ken Williams has always loved to make trades. I think he thinks that team is better than has performed. I mean, he's got Burley and Dyer, both free agents at the end of the year. I would keep my eyes on the White Sox.
The White Sox finally won a game today, snapping a 5-game losing streak. And it had been a bad year for the White Sox. They beat Houston, but they're 5 games under 500. They're 9 games out of the Central, and they've got 3 teams and 3 excellent teams in front of them in the standings in that division. Diaz a little bit low on the outside. 2-2.
I want to revisit the Andrew Jones thing. I don't know, has there been numbers set on either side to say that, Andrew wants 15 million or 10 million or 17 or whatever that number is?
No, Joe.
Because my understanding is they haven't talked.
That's my understanding as well.
Yeah.
And a pop-up foul out of play off to the right.
But remember the last time when Andrew signed his 6-year, $90 million deal, Andrew and his father kind of went around Scott Boras and didn't deal with the Braves. Scott's been talking about, look, there's not going to be any deal like that again, and he's been talking about the $16 to $20 million range. It's not Andrew Jones, it's not negotiation, it's just agent talk.
And a foul out of play. But at some point, Andrew's going to have to take charge of his own life. I mean, if he wants to stay in Atlanta, he's going to have to get somebody to talk to the Braves and see if he can actually make that happen. I mean, ultimately, it's supposed to be up to Andrew, right? Not up to his agent.
Well, it was last time, but, you know, this may be his last time at the huge contract. And, you know, he may be saying, look, Scott, you're great at this. You go ahead and do it. But it's going to be interesting. Torrey Hunter will be a fascinating case. I still believe, in the end, Seattle ownership will not let Ichiro go.
1-2, the count to Diaz.
Well, of those four that were listed there, which one would you prefer?
I think it depends on the market. I think Andrew's still the greatest player. I think there are certain markets, though, where you can bat Torrey 5th or 6th, and he's such a great, enthusiastic player. I think he's a perfect blend guy, and Ichiro to lead off, if that's what you need, he's great at it. They're all three great players.
No swing, says Adrian Johnson. So it's a full count now.
I wouldn't actually close the book on Andrew Jones yet here, because when I talked to John Sherholtz and Terry McGurk tonight, they both said, you know, generally they're going to wait till the end of the season, but you're right in the fact that they're not sure what the agent and Andrew Jones are going to want to stay here, because there haven't been those discussions.
Strike 3 call, and the inning is over. 2 excellent innings from Bobby Howry, and the Cubs just might be able to do it after all. In the short bullpen, they lead 4-2.
Taco Bell's new extreme cheese and beef quesadilla. Nacho cheese sauce, seasoned beef, and a blend of pepper jack, cheddar, and mozzarella, all melted together for only $1.29. To get unbelievable taste and price, think outside the bun.
It's easy to save on ink. Now get 20 to 40% off with 3 easy steps. Rewards, restock, recycle. Save big at Staples.
What do you want in a home? Everybody has a different idea. Yet everybody should expect the same things in a mortgage. One without application or closing fees. Without private mortgage insurance. And guarantees that you'll close on time and get the best deal. Introducing the opportunity to get the mortgage you always wanted for the home you've always wanted. No Fee Mortgage Plus, only from Bank of America.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is presented by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And in part by Bank of America. Introducing No Fee Mortgage Plus, only from Bank of America, Bank of Opportunity. And State Farm. Great service, great rates. It's all here. Nobody takes care of you like State Farm.
In Atlanta, Sunday Night Baseball, and the Chicago Cubs trying to keep their week-long roll going. They've won 5 of 7 coming into this game after getting out to such a poor start, and all of the things that happened last week with the brawl in their own dugout and Lou Pinella's suspension. They've been playing winning baseball. Plus, if they can win this ball game tonight, they would have taken 3 out of 4 from the Braves in Atlanta. Not easily done. Michael Barrett, who hit a home run in the 6th inning to put the Cubs ahead in this game, bounces one foul off to the left, and the count is 0-1. Barrett, for his part, Joe, in terms of that battle with Zambrano, I talked to him before the game, and he said, you know, he just feels real bad that he was involved in any of that stuff. He says that's not him. He's a peace-loving guy.
Well, Zambrano said he felt the same way. He said he couldn't sleep and he was embarrassed. And
off the glove at third of Woodward, and too late to get Michael Barrett. Chipper Jones on the disabled list for the Braves. Edgar Renteria had to leave tonight's game with a contusion on his left hand, and they have a little trouble, Woodward, with the error there. This Father's Day, bring your dad to the ballpark and join Major League Baseball, the Prostate Cancer Foundation, and Gillette in raising awareness for prostate cancer research. Log on to prostatecancerfoundation.org for more information on how you can help. It is father and son here at Turner Field. Beautiful night. A lot of Cubs fans here as well this weekend. Cubs are one of those teams like the Red Sox, the Yankees. Seems like almost everywhere they play on the road, there's lots of Cubs fans in attendance. Cubs fans travel. And in the bullpen, that is Ryan Dempster, the closer. And we've got a pinch hitter. There goes Barrett, and with the hit and run on, Ryan Theriot fouls one into the crowd off to the right.
John, I think this Cubs team is a much better team than the one that they had last year. First of all, they have Derek Lee back, but they also went out and got some difference makers. And, you know, Rafael Soriano makes a big difference at the top of the lineup. Ted Lilly, we didn't get a chance to see him tonight. He makes a difference. Jason Marquis, Cliff Floyd. I mean, they brought in some players who I think can help them. And I think the biggest thing is they're no longer waiting for Pryor and Wood. Now they're psychologically playing the game every day.
Base hit to center for Theriot. And Barrett will stop at second base. So the error, and then Theriot off the bench with a single. 2 men on, nobody out. And Mark DeRosa has been a very reliable RBI man, especially here in the month of June for the Cubs, will come up.
And I think DeRosa is the sleeper in all this. I named these other guys who have had good years, but DeRosa, to me, is the sleeper. I think this guy is a much better hitter and player than he gets credit for. In fact, a couple of years ago, I talked to Bobby Cox about him, and he was saying, Joe, I can't find a position for him, but he can really hit. And I think that he's going to be the sleeper in this whole deal, because I think before the year is over, he's going to put up some pretty big numbers.
Now, you were talking about Joe yesterday with his team situation down by a run in a spot just like this. DeRosa bunted.
Well, he attempted to bunt. He fouled 2 pitches off and then hit a fly ball to right field. And it was early in the ball game. It's 6-5 in the 3rd inning, and I was shocked that Lou bunted yesterday. But now he talks to the third base coach. I don't know if he's going to bunt again, but we'll see. This is a little different situation than they had yesterday,
because they are actually ahead late in this game. Well, he gets it down. They're going to let it roll. Does it go foul? It's a fair ball. And Woodward could have thrown him out, decided to let it roll foul, and it would not. It refused. It stuck on the foul line. And the bases are loaded.
Well, good job by DeRosa. He gets the ball down. Woodward knew he could not go to second base, but it does have a lot of side spin on it, rolling toward the foul line, and it gets there and just stops. In fact, you can see the field is, at that point, looks like it's slanted back toward the diamond, the middle of the diamond.
But so you could see Woodward's idea there.
Yeah, he thought he could get it fouled and then force him to try to bunt it fair again.
But it's only a good play by Woodward if it goes foul. So here is Fontenot, the rookie, who has a triple and a homer. And that's a ball from Paranto, a sinker low and outside. I kind of liken the Cubs, Joe, to the Yankees that we saw last week. Both teams were down early, but much better than they'd been playing. And I think the Cubs, and you can't take away from the Brewers, they're at the top of the division. They played great, especially the first 5-6 weeks of the season. That's the third. Woodward goes home for 1. And the throw to first. 2, a double play. DeRosa to Saltalamacchia to Thorman. Saltalamacchia's got quite an arm. The young catcher.
Nice play there by Woodward at third base, because he gave him a good throw to the plate. That allowed the catcher to come from behind the plate and get away. So if he has to stay at the plate, he can get bowled over. Now watch, he's able to come from behind the plate, get away from the runner coming in from third, and make an accurate throw because he's on the inside. He gets a clear shot to throw to first base. So nice play there by Woodward to start that and give him a good throw.
Chris Woodward, who, as you say, made the play from third base. Now the ball chopped off the clay in front of the plate. Johnson throws. He got it. Nicely done by Johnson. And the Cubs, who had him loaded with nobody out, a chance to put this one on ice, perhaps, yet nothing at all. The Braves are still breathing.
This is Bill. He works for Ford, and he's wrecked more cars than Hollywood.
You ought to see my insurance rates.
I'll take care of the jokes, Bill. Did the Ford F-150 get a 5-star crash rating?
Yep, 5 stars for both driver and front passenger.
What about the other guys?
Some of the others didn't do as well.
Ooh. So I guess sometimes it's better to play it safe?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Take the Ford Challenge. Find out why the F-150 is the best choice.
Behold the power of Phantom. Gillette Fusion Power Phantom. Fusion Power is so advanced you barely feel the blades. Shaving can create uncomfortable friction. Turn on Fusion Power. Soothing micropulses help you reduce friction and increase razor glide. You'll barely feel the blades. You'll really feel the difference. The comfort of 5 blades plus the precision of 1. Gillette Fusion Power.
Watch Fast Cars and Superstars, the Gillette Young Gun Celebrity Race this week on ABC.
Here's to men, to guys who want to spend more time having fun and less time in the men's room. And here's to Flomax. It may relieve male urinary symptoms due to BPH, also called an enlarged prostate, in 1 week. Only your doctor can tell if you have BPH, not prostate cancer. Common side effects of Flomax are runny nose, dizziness, and decrease in semen. Upon standing, a sudden drop in blood pressure may occur, rarely resulting in fainting. So when starting Flomax, avoid situations where injury could result. If considering cataract surgery, tell your eye surgeon you've taken Flomax. Could you feel a difference in 1 week? Ask your doctor. Flomax could make a difference in 1 week.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
Sunday Night Baseball from Atlanta. And here's our Excedrin trivia question. Which pitcher has the most career wins in head-to-head battles against John Smoltz of the Braves? Is it Dwight Gooden, Orel Hershiser, Pedro Martinez, or Jose Rijo? You have an idea, Joe?
I would say Hershiser, since he was round along, against Smoltz in the same division.
But look who it was. Pedro Martinez beat him 4 times, head-to-head. The most for any pitcher. Log on to ESPN.com and search Excedrin for additional trivia questions. 4-2, the Cubs lead the Braves as we head to the last of the 8th inning, and the Cubs are going to ask their closer, Brian Dempster, to give them a 2-inning save. Might have been a little easier if they got an extra run or 2 there, Joe.
Well, they had a tough situation, but Fontenot's ball was hit directly at the third baseman. If it hit left or right, he probably could have beaten it out at first base.
Dempster's had 12 saves. 2 of them, he has gone more than 1 inning. 1 inning, pretty standard now for closers. Jared Saltalamacchia, the 22-year-old catcher, playing in place of Brian McCann tonight. McCann has been hurting a little bit. He played last night. Lamacchia has had 2 singles and a fly ball to left center. Switch hitter, big and strong. And the fastball from Dempster at 94 miles an hour for a strike. His longest save of the year, 1 2/3 innings. So Dempster has had a 2-inning pitch appearance. That ball is driven into deep right center field. Way back there, off the wall, and the carom shoots by Pagan. And stopping at second is Saltalamacchia as PA came over to back up the play. Man, this guy, he's pretty impressive as a hitter, and he's got a great arm too.
Well, it was an excellent play by PA to get over there and back up because once it bounced away, it looked like it could be a triple. Pitches off the outside corner. He's still able to pull it. And the ball does carry well, as John Smoltz mentioned, when there's not any wind here.
To the left of that 390 marker. Here is Scott Thorman, a young guy who has struggled this year. Braves, they seem like they have an endless supply of young talent coming out of that minor scoring system. We've seen Francoeur come through. And this year, Kelly Johnson, Santalamacchia, Thorman. That's a little bit too high. 2-0. The Cubs have been in their bullpen since 2 down in the first inning when Ted Lilly was ejected from the game after hitting Edgar Renteria, which was deemed an intentional hit batsman by plate umpire Jim Wolf, who tossed it. The slider, beauty. 2-1. That's always been a signature pitch for Brian Dempster. Bobby Cox's Braves have been great late in games. They've won 10 games that they have trailed after the 7th inning, which is amazing in this early in the season. Another slider. This time he was able to take it. A check swing and an appeal denied by Tim Cheetah, the third base umpire. 3-1. The Braves also are without Edgar Renteria, who was removed for a pinch hit in the 4th inning, leaving with a contusion on his left hand, the hand that got a hit. And he kind of reached out for that one, fouling it, and it's 3-2 to Thorman. Thorman is 1 for 3 in the game. The Braves without Chipper Jones, their great veteran slugger, who's still on the disabled list. And now without Edgar Renteria, who's moved into the 3rd spot in the order where Chipper normally hits and done a great job. Dempster. Fair ball. So that'll get a run home, and it's going to be a 1-run game. Pagan digs it out in the corner. It's a double for Thorman. And 2 batters into the 8th inning. Dempster has allowed a run and has nobody out. Consecutive doubles from Santalamacchia and Thorman, and it is 4-3 Chicago.
The ball's on the inner half of the plate and down, and he pulls it past Derek Lee at first base. Sometimes in the late inning you will guard the line closer, but Derek, you see, there wasn't guarding the line that closely, and the ball was between him and the bag. A lot of teams in the late innings with a 2-run lead like that would be covering the line. But the Cubs defense was not aligned that way.
Here's Willie Harris hitting .391. And he is not bunting. I thought maybe, Joe, he's pinch hitting here for the pitcher, Poranco. I thought maybe he'd be bunting up here with nobody out. Possible tying run at second. The catcher, Barrett, runs out to talk to Dempster. Willie Harris, who had 1 at bat in the 2005 World Series and hit a single and scored the only run of the extra inning game for the White Sox. There's Bob Wickman, the Atlanta closer, getting ready in the Atlanta bullpen.
And one of the things that makes Bobby Cox such a good manager, he's unpredictable.
Base hit! Everybody in the world looking for a bunt, and no bunt. Instead, a solid single to right. And the Braves have the possible tying run at third, the possible go-ahead run at first, and still nobody out.
One of the things, you know, when you're Bobby Cox, he's 4th on the all-time list in wins behind Connie Mack, John McGraw, and Tony La Russa. And when you've managed as long as he has, 26 years in the big leagues, you find yourself, you try to make sure that you're not predictable. And that's a great example there of Bobby Cox not being predictable. Although you thought he was going to bunt.
You didn't think he was bunting?
No, I didn't think he was going to bunt. No, the reason I say that is because Willie Harris has been swinging the bat so well, and he's left-handed. He can pull the ball to the right side, so you give yourself a chance to drive in the tying run without giving up an out. Now, if you have a guy that's not swinging the bat well, then you go ahead and sacrifice.
But that, I think that's also part of what you're talking about, that he's a great manager.
Yeah, he knows his personnel.
Because if he doesn't bunt him and he strikes out or pops out or whatever and doesn't get that runner over, then the manager gets second guessed.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he worries about second guess. I mean, he has won so many division titles. He won 15 in a row, so he knew exactly what he was doing.
So here is Kelly Johnson.
And you have Willie Harris at first base, who is an excellent base runner. So you're in a situation where you might be able to get the winning run in the scoring position right away.
That's almost like a semi-pitch out right there.
The only difference, John, it wasn't much on the pitch. And I think that's why Barrett's going out there. That wasn't, if that was supposed to be a pitch out, it wasn't much on it. And you see Lou kind of shaking his head. That pitch, that was kind of a worthless pitch. If you're pitching out, you got to throw it.
It wasn't a pitch out for Michael Barrett. He wasn't jumping up, but the pitch was thrown like a semi-pitch out. But Barrett went out there to talk to Dempster, I guess, and make sure that they're together and what the signs are. 1 ball and no strikes. And Harris is back to the bag. Harris is a very fast runner and has 7 steals this year. He's only been thrown out twice.
John, I gave Bobby 15. It was 14. He was trying for 15 last year and didn't make it.
14 consecutive division titles. First and third, nobody out. There goes Harris.
That's easy. And he didn't even have to slide. He had such a big jump on Dempster there that he didn't even have to slide if he didn't want to. I'm surprised Barrett threw the ball to second base.
Well, there was no need.
No, he was running even before Dempster even started his motion to the plate. Watch, I mean, he's gone right now, slow delivery, and by the time Barrett gets the ball, I mean, he didn't even have to slide. He slid to break his momentum.
Now they're going to walk Kelly Johnson intentionally. But keep in mind, Yunel Escobar, a right-handed hitter, is on deck. But they do have a couple of lefties available. The Braves are playing with a short bench, too, by the way. They have an extra pitcher. They only have Pete Orr, who is a middle infielder, and Brian McCann, the other catcher, who's an excellent hitter.
But as I mentioned earlier, he led the fall league in hitting. So they have a lot of confidence, this young guy. He's hitting .333 in the minor leagues before he got called up.
First 4 pitchers of the Cubs bullpen gave up 2 runs in 6 of the 3rd innings. In fact, that was Carlos Marmol. Oman, Wirtz, and Howry pitched 4 shutout innings between them. But Dempster's not been able to get anybody out here in the 8th inning. And of course, he came in charged with holding the lead for 2 innings. Right now, they give up the tying run to get a double play ball from Yunel Escobar. Slider misses, and Escobar looked like he got something in his eye. He was lurching away from it, although the ball was outside. Did he get a bug in his eye, Joe? There.
Something flew into his eyes.
Yeah.
Kind of insect.
There it is. Look at that. This could be 2. There's 1. And the relay by Terrio, double play. But Thorman scores the tying run, and Willie Harris is now at 3rd.
Well, good job by Dempster to get the ground ball.
He's Turris to Terrio to first, and now Woodward due up, but here comes Brian McCann. They're going to try and knock that winning run in right here. And Bobby must figure there's a good chance that they'll pitch to him because Andrew Jones is on deck. McCann, who had a great year last year, his first full year in the big leagues, he hit over .320 and had 24 home runs. We are in Atlanta. Sunday Night Baseball. I'm John Miller, along with Joe Morgan and Peter Gammons. The Chicago Cubs and the Atlanta Braves. The Cubs have been playing great baseball for the last week after a very poor start. And the Braves have been struggling lately until their win last night. And then we had some bad blood. Edgar Renteria hit by a pitch in the 1st inning. And Ted Lilly, the Cubs starter, ejected. Cubs bullpen doing yeoman's work after having to work long last night when their starter got knocked out in the 2nd inning. The bullpen had to pick it up in the 1st inning tonight. And they held a lead here until the 8th, and they brought in their closer, Dempster. But Dempster has given up the lead. The Braves with 2 runs home and a a runner at third with 2 down, and Brian McCann, one of the best hitting catchers around, trying to knock in Willie Harris from third base.
And make no mistake about it, Lou Piniella was dealt a very tough hand tonight, especially after last night when Marquis didn't go but a couple of innings, and then to have Ted Lilly ejected tonight in the first inning.
McCann, the changeup.
His bullpen has been
tested, and they've done pretty well up until now.
Very well.
Only the second blown save of the year for Dempster. And now Dempster just trying not to blow the lead entirely, trying not to blow the tie in the dirt. Well, he at least has an empty base, but he does have Andrew Jones, the slugger, on deck. And now Lou's signaling out. They said, go ahead, let's go ahead and walk him. And Lou there talking to Jason Marquis, the man who went 1 2/3 innings last night. This was a little bit earlier.
Well, you can see he was shaking his head as if to say yes on a positive note.
And here comes the intentional ball forward to McCann. And so here comes Andrew Jones. He is 0 for 4 tonight. He has hit 2 home runs in this series. And against Dempster, he's done some damage.
Well, he has 42 RBIs, so he's been coming through a lot in these situations.
Also, with McCann having drawn the walk, they send in Pete Orr as a pinch runner. Orr will have to go in to play the infield. Chuck James actually is the pinch runner. I beg your pardon. Had some bad info. Chuck James, one of the starting pitchers, is the pinch runner. So James, they only have one non-pitcher still available on their bench now, and that is Pete Orr. Andrew Jones trying to knock in Willie Harris from third base with 2 down. And tight, 2-0. Bobby Cox without Renteria, without Chipper Jones, has got his veteran, the veteran RBI man, Andrew Jones, up there right now. He chased one, 2-1, and he was badly fooled. What was that pitch, Joe?
And we were talking about his balance, meaning Andrew Jones, and he was off balance again, and that's what Terry Pendleton has been working with him on, just trying to maintain his balance throughout the swing. And you can see badly fooled on it.
And a slider off the outside. 3-1. Well, he doesn't have to give in to him. There's another empty base out there, but Jeff Francoeur, who's the Braves RBI leader this year, is on deck. Andrew, the wild swing at that one. 3-2.
That pitch was clearly out of the strike zone.
A rueful smile there by Andrew after. There goes James from first base in the dirt, and here comes Willie Harris, and the Braves lead. Willie Harris, the ball did not get that far away from Barrett, but Harris did not wait to find out. He just took off. Five to 4. And now there's something wrong with Ryan Dempster. The trainer comes out for the Cubs.
Well, it's a slider in the dirt, And that's just a tough pitch because that ball hit well out in front of the plate and wide of the plate. You can see Barrett try to get his body over in front of it, but while he was moving to his right, he couldn't get down quick enough to block it. So he's trying to get over in front of it, and he can't move over quick enough and get down. And as you mentioned, Willie Harris, speedy base runner, he scores easily, and he was off and running right away. One of the things you do as a base runner is you anticipate anytime a ball is down, you anticipate it getting away from the catcher so you can get a great break on it. And he had thrown a lot of sliders, so if you're at third base, you realize he's probably going to throw another one.
Here's Francoeur, picked up by East Tourist, over to Terrio for the force out on Andrew. And the nightmarish inning is over. The Cubs are now down by a run as Wickman comes in from the Atlanta bullpen.
It's Adventure Day.
They're 3-12 in one-run ball games.
It's the worst record in the majors in those tight games. That sinker a little bit off the outside, maybe down. 1 ball, 1 strike. So Ryan Dempster not only was not able to hold the lead in the 8th inning, but he threw a ton of pitches in that inning as well. Backhanded. Thorman, 1 away.
That was a nice play. That was not an easy play to make there.
So now Soriano, and the worst that Soriano could do to the Braves here would be to tie the game. Soriano, who thought that he had himself a home run back in the 5th inning, but it died right in front of the 390-foot marker in that big gap in right center. Soriano, who hit 3 home runs here on Friday and who just seems to wear out Braves pitching. Tonight he is hitless, although he had the sacrifice fly, and he also drew an intentional walk, and a slider is in the dirt for ball 1.
If the Cubs aren't able to come back in this ballgame, John, we have to just think back to the 8th inning. They had the bases loaded with no one out and did not score a run, and they had a 2-run lead at that point. And they could have basically put the game away if they could have put a couple of runs up on the board, or at least hit a sacrifice fly, giving themselves a 3-run lead.
This is very similar to what was happening to the Yankees. The Yankees could not win those tight games either. As of a week ago, center field, Andrew Jones, plenty of room. Soriano hit that one out off the end of the bat. 2 down. And now the rookie, Felix P.A. So the Cubs are 1 out away from really a bad loss. They have a lead late into the game.
Well, I think it's tough because they fought so hard, you know, and it's never over till it's over. But you know, losing their starting pitcher, one of their best starting pitchers, I might add, the guy who was 4-1 after losses, obviously hurt them tremendously tonight.
Strike 1 to P.A. P.A. is 0 for 4, although he had a steal after hitting into a force play in the 7th. Dempster with the blown save. And they got to him right away. They gave up hits to the first 3 hitters. The slider chopped out and foul. Strike 2.
And sometimes, if you're a closer and you're used to coming in just for 1 inning, you come in, throw as hard as you can for that 1 inning. Dempster was going to have to get a 2-inning save. So indirectly, he may have been trying to pace himself, and they jumped on him right away. Again, it was just a tough situation for the Cubs tonight.
More than 32,000 fans here in Atlanta, and everybody's standing now. Wickman 1 strike away. And P.A. fights it off. Well, unlike the Cubs so far tonight, Joe, the Yankees last Sunday, after all their trials and tribulations, they came on and beat the Boston Red Sox in a 1-run game. And they've been winning regularly ever since. The Yankees have won 9 of their last 11. And after being 14.5 games back of Boston, maybe 11, 12 days ago, they're only 9.5 out now. The Cubs have been on the move as well. But now only 1 strike of life left to them in this one. 1-2. However, if PA could get aboard, maybe the Cubs' best all-round hitter, Derek Lee, would be next. Here's Lee. Cubs would love to get him up there. And PA pops a foul out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Cubs in their dugout. And they did this would be sort of a gut-wrenching loss. I mean, they played so hard and so well.
Well, the point you made earlier is that if they could win this ball game, would have won 3 out of 4 here and kept the momentum that they had coming in. But if they lose today, that means they would have lost the last 2 games.
There's Andrew Jones. Still going back, and the ball game is over.
And for Wickman, that's his 11th save, John. He's been great for the Braves.
So the Braves come from behind with the win over the Chicago Cubs. Final meeting between these clubs this year. But there seems to be some unfinished business that may have to be revisited next year. Our Chevrolet player of the game, Jared Saltalamacchia. He had 3 hits, including the double that started the winning rally in the 8th inning. Jared Saltalamacchia, and in recognition of his excellent night, Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to Major League Baseball's youth outreach program, reviving baseball in the inner cities. So Ted Lilly ejected early on. Fontenot took one on the nose from Renteria. Renteria made a great play before he had to lead the game finally with a bad left hand, probably from that pitch that hit him. Barrett hit a home run. But ultimately, the Cubs end up in defeat. Joe Morgan, Peter Gammons, I'm John Miller. Good night from Atlanta. SportsCenter next.